Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone of that wonderful technical rainbow in between, welcome to tonight's coverage of the Titan Esports Vanquisher Summer League. I am What's and joining me tonight is someone I haven't had the pleasure of casting with before, but hopefully the rest of the season will go as smoothly as this day one. It's Kev. How you doing today, Kev?
I'm alright. I'm a completely new, fresh face, so excited to watch the games tonight and bring everyone some hopefully high-tier coverage of the match.
Absolutely. Now, today we do have our matchup of Foolish Five's Monarch. I'm trying to remember the team names exactly because they decided to make it as complex as possible. And then Conduit Esports on the other side. Now, Conduit Esports is an organization that I've had my fair bit of experience with. We've seen them around the leagues before. Generally, they are fielding very good rosters, very good players, and have a consistently high bar to reach in these amateur tournaments, your Titans, your Aegises, your Risens, wherever they may be. Foolish Fives is a team that I don't have much experience with, so I'm really excited to see, especially coming into a matchup where they're up against an org that is very well known. How are they going to surprise us? What are they going to do? What are they going to bring that's going to make them stand out here in the league?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just excited to see what the caliber of players are like in this league. I'm coming from strictly working with one collegiate team, so a lot of my attention has been on one open collegiate team. So I'm just excited to see what our games look like tonight. So.
Yeah, and speaking of getting a look at what these games are going to look like, we're going to jump in here into the draft pretty much straight away. Foolish on the blue side and Conduit Esports on the red. I'm sure those bans will pop up as soon as we can get them. But for now, I'll be honest. I've been missing my time playing League a little bit. I've definitely been slacking in my gameplay. My ranked gameplay has fall into the wayside. I found some other niches that I've been getting really interested in. So I'm curious how the meta really has adapted since I was here last. It was a lot of Skarner priority. There was a lot of engaged supports in the bottom lane. I've been looking at some of the pro play around the world, but I'm wondering if you might have a better read on what the meta is currently than I do right now.
Honestly, I would say it's still pretty stale. I think pro play has been a very cookie cutter meta. So I mean, you can just see from the bans, Victor, Shen, Azir, Gwen. It's been like the same kind of pool of your control mage mid, tank, jungle, and then your bruiser top lane. So I hope we see some fancy picks. Lucian's been out there recently. One of my favorite ADCs to watch, and we see Varus picked. Man, I hate Varus. Just go comment, Q poke, E poke. But Pantheon, I love Pantheon.
Looking at the stats, I have been seeing a lot of Pantheon recently, especially in the jungle. Him and Nefiri and Xin, as I was looking over the stats for some of the pro play leagues around the board. Those two have been like the really big standouts for me as like, oh, they're actually like seeing play. Pantheon, not even just a support, which is where we used to see him all the time with that press the attack, but now with the jungle pathing. Nefiri as well with her rework. I've heard she's very strong. Hoping to see her at some point tonight, but maybe she'll just be sitting on the ban board the whole time. Who knows?
Yeah, Nefiri is a brutal champ to play against in coordination because she is such a strong early game. Like her first 6 levels, like she has uncontested dive, but doesn't look like we'll see her. We have Wukong and Gnar on the board right now, and a mysterious pick up in the air as well.
Our producers will be updating it as soon as they can. The thing that I'm also curious about is the Karma pick as well. It's a very early blind pick, as opposed to Foolish on the other side, who haven't even looked for their support just yet. We'll have to see what they do in that second round of bans. But the big deal for me is I'm a Karma enjoyer. I love seeing this champion. I love playing this champion. When she was like Malignant's AP, heartbreak for me. She's so good in support right now. Her shields recently, I think, got touched up at least a little bit to be much stronger. Her ulti shields are still insanely strong. Dreammaker, still arguably the best support item in the game, I'd argue, but it's very, very good for her. So I'm interested to see what sort of bottom lane they're actually going to end up pairing it with. If it's going to be something to try and counterpoke, or are they looking to like maybe pull a Lucian and do some all-in shenanigans?
Yeah, I think Karma's a really good line just because she's so flexible. Like, obviously you have like the poke builds, but as you were touching on, she is just a good straight up enchanter. So, I like the Scion pick. I think Scion is just Scion's my favorite like AFK champ. Like, you just press your Q on the wave, go proxy, like. But oh man, the last picks it's so suspenseful. I just want to see what.
Yeah, we're starting to see the bans come through. Foolish is going to be taking away at least Jinx on that stronger AD carry side. Conduit Esports is going to focus down that mid lane pool a little bit, take out the Mel. We'll get those bans in as soon as we possibly can. But just looking at the comps for now, it does seem like Foolish really wants to strive for some sort of team fight angle here. You have Wukong Nar, which is a crazy little 2v2, just go straight to town, try and find a target and say, hey, you can't play League of Legends today. Conduit Esports is going to ban away that Rise. The one with the Varus just to like help set it up with those Chains of Corruption and with the long range poke. But Conduit Esports is not exactly slouching for that. Pantheon has a lot of ways to just ignore a bunch of that damage with his shield. Scion is Scion. He's not going to take any damage. He's Scion. And Karma's really good at getting people out of situations like that. Those shields being so massive and Mikhail's being the item that it is, you can really just keep people safe in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and I think the Scion pick into like you're saying like a team fight heavy comp is good because it's like he doesn't need to be in these fights. He can just go off and be his own little soldier in the side lane. So I think Ahri is a good pick. Ahri's been picked a lot. I mean, hyper mobile, her charm, W. She's so strong, and I mean she's just so versatile. She's got wave clear and roam, so hopefully we might see some proactive play on the map with the Ahri. That's what I like to see out of Ahri. If my Ahri's in lane, I'm not a happy camper. That's Seraphine support.
Seraphine flexible for now. We'll have to wait until we see that last pick. The big deal for me for Ahri is Talia is still on the board. And I know she's been getting a lot of play recently based on what I've been seeing. And she is very good right now. So I'm curious to see why Foolish went for the Orianna instead. Because it feels like Talia would work really well, especially with the Gnar and the Wukong being able to sort of cordon off areas and make sure that these two can really get their combo off. I can see it working with the Orianna. You've got the Cyclone Shockwave for Circles of Doom, but I'm curious to see if they'll actually be able to set up these circles well enough, just relying on really Seraphine and Varus to get fights started for them.
I think Ahri is just kind of, it could just be a comfort thing too. I feel like a lot of mid laners haven't picked up Talia, even though she's been in the mid lane for so long. But I think Smolder is a really, it's kind of an odd pick for me because you have a scaler, but you have like a lot of early game from like with the Pantheon and the Ahri. I feel like have pretty strong early games. So I wanna see how they play around the Smolder, and if they really do just play for the stacking and scaling. I mean, obviously you have the Scion who infinitely scales, so I just want to see how that develops throughout the game and what their game plan is for your first 15 minutes of the game, how they approach it. And for the side of FFM, obviously Varus, Seraphine, I feel like they can play pretty aggressive into the Smolder and the Karma. Seraphine will help with your Karma poke trades, and obviously Varus is a very potent lane trader. So I think bot lane will be the most interesting lane. Ahri Orianna seems like it's just going to be a farm off, and then Scion lanes are Scion lanes. So we'll just have to see.
He's playing versus Gnar, so he's not going to have fun until he can get out of the lane, but he's also fine to just sit under tower and farm. He's not really going to be having a struggle with that. I'm really interested to see how this Conduit Esports bottom lane is actually going to pilot this matchup. Seraphine and Varus is a annoying lane to go against, no matter what sort of champions you're playing. If it's not like Tristana plus Leona, where you can just all in them from minute one and try and keep them under turret, you're playing a very passive lane here. And yeah, Smolder does have the ability to trade decently well, especially now with like the crit build being much more viable, I'd say, with the buffs they gave him a while ago to allow his Q to work with Infinity Edge. In the early game, you're still going to struggle. Smolder can trade fine, but you don't have a lot of sustain in this lane versus all this poke, and including the Seraphine sustain. Life is going to be difficult for this Conduit bottom lane. And like you said, you have scalers in top, scalers in bot, but you have this very strong mid lane. So I wonder if it's going to be Hunter Wolf Steel playing a lot around Chaotic on this Ahri, or if it's going to be the both of them trying to make a roam towards bottom lane and get the Smolder as accelerated as possible. I just wonder where that strong point is going to be for this Conduit side, because looking at the Monarch side, they've got strength on pretty much all three of their lanes, and their jungle matchup is not even a bad one.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if we ever see the Ahri and the Pantheon kind of team up to try to bully out the Seraphine and the Varus. I feel like that's a point of strength too. Is just Pantheon are level 6. It's you're flying in from Narnia and instant CC, undodgeable. You got your shield to get out and negate all damage. So that's what I think, or that's why I think they went for this Smolder. It's just you kind of have like a Pantheon insurance policy where it's like, if our lane is Giga doomed, a Pantheon level 6 can save you. So I think for the Monarch side, it's really just about their approach to the game. It's just a comp where you can easily get behind, and it's just about finding your way out of that and just playing for your later side. One pick I really am interested in, though, is in the Seraphine. I don't see a lot of Seraphine. I think her poke in lane is really good, and she has such a strong level 6. Like, it's a lane-wide skill shot. So I'm interested to see, especially with the Varus. Like, I feel like their ult combo is super potent. Once you get hit by the Seraphine R, you're not really getting out of the Varus chain. So again, I really do think this game is gonna get a lot more interesting at level 6. I don't think we're gonna see a lot going on beforehand.
Yeah, I do see one of my former co-casters, Sater, just yelling, screaming his head off in the chat how Smolder is the strong point of this Conduit Esports comp. Hi, Sater, by the way. Hope you're doing well over there on stream number 1. Speaking of stream number 1, if you came over here expecting to see the TMG Flash Syndicate rematch that was been really hyped up for the start of the season, and you're wondering why you're looking at Monarchs and Conduit Esports, it's because you're on the wrong stream. Over on the main stream, Titan Esports, I believe it's just Titan Esports NA now. You can go and check that game out instead. But we do hope you also manage to stay here and check out this match, because it should be, at the very least, a brawly one for Conduit Esports. I'm really expecting them to play aggressive. And like you said, Ahri Pantheon, it's not like Ahri Vi in terms of how strong it is in the 2v2, but it's still pretty dang good. They're going to be able to fight, and Wukong and Orianna much more reliant on their level 6s than this Conduit Esports mid-jungle duo is. So I'm really hoping to see them play a little bit more aggressive, play towards this bottom lane, get this Smolder accelerated, and keep the Seraphine and the Varus down. Because if Seraphine gets ahead, she's not going to let you play the game. Like you said, she has a lane-wide skill shot engage. She's got permanent sustain for the whole team. She has decent damage. She has great CC. In my mind, outside of being tanky, Seraphine is the Ornn of the bottom lane. She can do it all. She can do everything.
Yeah, just you wait for the Rylai's first technology to come out. The most toxic way to play Seraphine, where, I mean, you're just getting insta-rooted, and it's not fun. So all I'm saying for Smolder's sake, I hope that's not what he's up against tonight.
Well, while we wait for the game to materialize and we get ourselves onto the Rift, we are going to cut to a short break here. So when we come back, we'll be onto the Rift here for game number 1 between Conduit Esports and Foolish 5 Monarchs. See you then. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping on to the Rift here. It's game number 1 here of our first best of 3 of the summer. Kev, I'm so excited to be back here, and what a matchup to have it be the first one, huh?
Yeah, I like I said, I'm just excited to see. Hey, I'm excited for everyone. I'm excited to see what we're gonna get to watch. I think this is a really good comp for both teams. I'm just excited to see what their game plans are and how they approach these first 6 levels. I think if there's any shenanigans early, it will be a strong indicator of how the rest of the game will go. So
yeah, while we have a minute to talk about the comps, as with all things, there is going to be a pause within the first minute here. While we have a minute to talk about it, I do need to always mention it because I'm so excited that we get to do this. We have fearless drafting here for the entirety of the regular season and the playoffs. So any of these 10 champions that you see on your screen right now, we will not have to see again for the rest of the draft, which is always fantastic. But it does mean that we're not going to be seeing any more smolders, no karmas. So the big the big deal for me in this is how are the teams going to adapt around it, especially with their bans? Because that's always the part that has me so curious. Do your bans change up once you have a certain pick out of the way? Once you're like, okay, we're banning this because it's a counter to our mid laner's best pick, but they've already picked it. So how can we change our bans now? Are we going to shift it up in some way? What are we going to do differently?
yeah, I think that's the most interesting part about Fearless is just the way you change up your draft strategy. And like it's all dependent on how deep your research into the other team is, because obviously, you know, once you get past your mains being banned out, that's when you get into the weird, like, well, what might just be annoying that we don't want to play against, you know. So I'm interested to see how our bans develop throughout the series, but hopefully this pause gets underway. There's nothing more annoying than like
it's always in the
breaking
first minute too. Those are always the roughest because we haven't had any like gameplay to talk about. We haven't been able to see anything. We've already talked about the drafts to death. We can take this time to learn a little bit more about you since you are so new to the Titan broadcast. The viewers are fairly well aware of me at this point as I've been around. Some people might say too long, but hey, I didn't say it. Kev, what can you tell us about you? What's been your experience? You mentioned that you were with a collegiate team before.
Yeah, so I went to college at the University of North Florida here in Jacksonville. And throughout my time, I was with the UNF Esports Club, um, mainly as like a video production manager, but I also did for a year and a half run the league team. So I've been around CLOL and various tournament circuits, like we played in Style for a season. So I've been around the block a little bit, but mainly from the side of just the UNF Esports Club. So it's interesting to branch out and, well, enough about me. We finally get off of the Breaking Bad filter and into the game.
We've got some gameplay here. I will be interested to hear your angles from a more managerial coaching perspective. So we'll have to get that as the season continues on. Don't change that dial. Don't check on your screens. This is the Riot Games Classic. It freezes up a little bit to get back in time with that perfect delay. And once we get over with that, we should hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, have a little bit of uninterrupted gameplay here.
Well, you spoke it into existence. But we have the jungles both starting in their top side, assumedly going to be heading down to the bot lane. And as I expected, the Varus Seraphine, it's going to be an absolute poke fest. So it'll really be on this Karma to try to keep these shields on Smolder, just to keep him in the lane. Actually, a really hard trade onto Seraphine. So
yeah. And I think in a lane like this, that's not a bad target to be focusing, but Xanthera does need to be worried about Jed's health bar, as level 2 is going to go over to the Foolish bottom lane. So Conduit Esports are going to be forced to back off here, at least at the very start. And this is kind of the pace of how we're expecting the lane to go. We're going to see an early ward here from Solo Mason. I like this placement, especially. Getting it inside the enemy jungle is such a huge deal to check on whether or not they started on this side of the map, as well as when they do arrive down here, you'll have perfect information of when they do get there and when they might be ganking, for instance.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Pantheon's going to pop in that ward, and the Varus and Seraphine will know that, hey, there's a crazy guy with the shield on the way, so we're not going to see them get caught out by this, so obviously spotted there. That's the one thing that being on your blue side has the advantage of, just being able to walk in and drop that ward every time your wave is pushed out. It's way harder to get a good deep ward for the Karma into the enemy jungle. But we might see a little bit of a scuffle at the Scuttle Crab.
Ooh, Bento is going to eat quite a bit of damage here. Doesn't have a ton of mana left, but Solo Mason is going to take quite a hefty trade back. Jed is going to lose a good chunk of that HP. And like you mentioned, Chris unspotted here so far. Hunter will steal, actually making the first move here into mid lane. Stun onto higher echelon, flash over the wall to get away from the charm. So everyone will walk away just fine, but now Chris wants to continue the trade. Orb of Deception tags the clone, but not Chris, and Hunter Wolf is going to be forced to lose that flash and a lot of that health bar. Now isn't there in the area. They might be looking for something. This is very dangerous, very aggressive, but they got the 3-on-1. Chris is going to look to dash in, but Chaotic will pick up the first blood.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The Ahri, Pantheon, and obviously we saw Karma come up. They are just very strong.
Bento, you know, I don't know if you want to take this trade.
But yeah, the Pantheon and the Ahri, I feel like are going to be your two main characters for your Monarchy early game. And basically we see the Scuttle picked up, and actually, it looks like we're going to have another incident in the top lane Scuttle.
Yeah, Pantheon still hasn't recalled. The instrument is here on the first rotate, and now Chris in the area. I think Hunter Wolf has just overstayed his welcome. That little bit too much. An instrument will pick up the last hit on that kill. Chaotic. This is the charm in the mid lane here. Still going to get that electric proc off on higher echelon. And just decides up the first half of that Orb of Deception. And even with Chris in the area, Chaotic is still going to be forced to just walk away. That red buff putting in a little bit of work in those auto attack trades.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I guess we were just unaware of how fast Wukong could be back to his top side, but it's just one of those plays that, you know, you do it and then you're like, yeah, I probably should have thought about that. You know, it's just one of those things that slips your mind, unfortunately. But as we pointed out earlier, this Scion lane is just going to be Gnar constantly pushing in, and Scion getting what bits and bobs he can from the waves. So
yeah, he's just going to be picking up as much CS as possible. I do like the early tier 2 boots from Instrument because you already know you're going to be winning trades. You don't really need to build much more damage. You're relying on that W hyper passive to get the extra percentage HP damage to really eat through Nooner's HP. And the best thing you can do for yourself is stay safe not only from the Scion, but also from the jungle ganks that could potentially come through. The Pantheon, always a potential threat when you're playing a squishier character, as level 6 is dinged for both mid laners. Chaotic doesn't find the stun, but Hunter Wolf does find the stun, and that's going to be one dead Orianna in the mid lane.
Yeah, and you can just see the power of that Ahri level 6. Like, she's just able to obviously poke you down with her W and autos for the electrocute proc, but once she gets her 6, there is very little you can do to get her off you. And I mean, especially with the Pantheon, as we can see. Maybe a play
in the bottom lane here is like they're playing very aggressive. He's going to be the target for the engage, and Chris is just going to smack him over the head. Jed now looking to try and kite it out. Hunter will steal, helping out in support. And everyone from Conduit Esports is just going to be forced to back away. And a nice little 2v2 play from the Foolish Fives bottom lane.
Yeah, that was a pretty fake 3v3 that both junglers just kind of spectated for a bit there. But yeah, that was a really good play. The Smolder obviously kind of overstepped his boundary and was punished for it. So just
Pantheon's back. Flash out from the Seraphine. No access to the heal. Nice little route onto Hunter Wolf is going to keep them safe enough. They might want to go for the dive, but just a little bit too risky this early into the game with the Varus still having flash and barrier. They don't want to be giving up any extra gold to that guy.
Yeah, getting the flash, well, actually, the barrier too off of the Karma route. It's so worth. It's just it'll set up your future plays bot lane. You know, you've got a flashless Karma and a barrierless Varus for the next 3 to 5 minutes. So it'll be good. As we can see the Pantheon just start up this drag. Karma is
Zythera. This is how you play Karma. Zythera being aggressive in the laning phase. -1 on the cannon jet, but don't worry, we didn't see it. But this is how you play a really good Karma. You don't need to build damage. You are the damage. You really can just walk forward. And now, with that Grand Starfall and the spear shot from downtown, Feat of Warfare is claimed by Conduit Esports. And it looks like they want to pick up Bento on the other side of it as well. Have to be careful of that tower aggro. It does quite a bit, but Zythera, with that Mantra Q from the back, is going to take him down. An excellently executed dive from Conduit Esports.
Yeah, and that was all off of the back of Zythera playing so far up in the lane. I mean, you saw Jed was about in the middle of the lane farming, but Zythera was at their tower throwing out roots and Qs. So it's just, if you're going to play the pokey Karma, you're going all out. So it was just a very good sequence of events for the red side bot lane. And we could see blue take away the grubs, so not the worst trade in the world. So we might see the Monarchs head down towards this Drake off of their reset.
That's another thing that was a pretty big change in the patch notes that I haven't got experience with casting with yet. There's only one set of grubs now. We're not fighting for 6 to get that second void grub spawn. It's now just, if you get all 3, congrats, you get a grub to spawn on turrets, but it's not the big double objective that we used to see anymore, as Dragon's going to be started up here for the Fool's 5. Chris tanking up the damage with that Wukong passive, fairly healthy, not feeling too threatened. He's still going to clone out of that back pit, though. Sees the blood in the water, smells something coming, and says, hey, we just got to back off. This Dragon's all theirs.
Yeah, with no wards in the pit too, there's not really an option for him to walk back in. So more just like a thank you for the leash type situation, as the Monarchs will take away the Drake.
When I was looking at the stats from the leagues across the board, I was actually really interested to see the side differences for each for each league of how differently Dragons and Heralds went across. More often than not, across the board, teams on the red side, as I'll put that on pause, as Echelon is going to get a great 2-man Shockwave and instantly comes in with Chris with that Cyclone. Gets the knockup on the Hunter Wolf, stealing what Conduit Esports thought was an easy executed gank, is instantly turned around by Fool's 5.
Yeah, just one of those plays that you expect to go your way, and then in an instant a Wukong is flying at your forehead and you're up in the air spinning around. So just just one of those plays. But the bot lane is actually, Smolder is up so much CS.
Yeah. This really is what a good Karma can do, and also what a lot of this jungle pressure from Hunter Wolf Steel has done. You've just allowed Jed to sort of sit back and farm and be the recipient of that assist, get some extra time spent in a lane, and just has been able to play his own game. As we got that Grand Starfall coming down to the bottom lane again. Encore hits onto 2, but it's just not going to be enough. Jed not even needed for the assist. Karma Pantheon shuts down the Seraphine. They look like they might want a little more, but with the wave being in the state that it's in, it looks like they're just going to back off from the dive.
Yeah, a dive would be kind of hard, especially with the Varus chains being available. Just one awkward positioning and 2 of your teammates are stuck under tower, but not had much to say about the top lane, going as expected, but the Sayonara comes out.
Okay, Nooner wants to look for a 1v1 here. Does manage to find the knockup on the instrument. Knows that he's a little sleepy, so it's going to be a while before he gets that Mega. He's got the Bomby Cinder in inventory as well. He's doing so much damage. He's still got Flash in his inventory. Both of them do, but Nooner just backing up a little bit, knows the risk of potentially 1v1ing that Gnar, that Mega can come out. And speaking of things that can come out, so can Chris. Nooner now potentially in trouble, does manage to find a nice knockup, but I think the Scion is just going to eventually fall here. Instrument farming the wave up to get to Mega, make sure that no shenanigans can happen. They're going to look to potentially turn it with Hunter Wolf Steel in the area, but I think Nooner is probably just a goner this time around. Chris gets the auto attacks down. Instrument potentially in trouble as Chaotic with Nooner's passive is going to try and get something done. Chris already taken under half, and so is Higher Echelon. Chaotic really wants to make this happen, but the Shockwave into the Cyclone. Chaotic, can you take it? Can you make it happen? Gets one out of the 1v2 at the very least. And on the other side of the map, Instrument gets the execute to the tower.
Yeah, that play was so well executed from the Monarchs. Like, obviously we have the Scion engage onto the Gnar, and the Gnar screaming into his mic, "Help, help!" And Chris comes flying in to stop it. But just interested to see if we see any more high flying action in the bot lane. I feel like most of our attention has been down here. We get a replay on the last fight. This Scion passive did a bit of work. The RAR with the Malignant, so potent, but only able to take the one down off of the back of the Wukong R.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more damage, just like an extra stack on that Dark Steel, and maybe you can turn something there, but getting one out of a 1v2 never feels bad. Now, there's going to be a minor engage here. They're top laners. They're going to take some HP out. Instrument might be looking for the long term, though, as Nooner is eating a lot of damage. Is forced to lose that flash just to get away from the Gnar. Now, what I was going to mention before we were so rudely interrupted by all this gameplay, League of Legends gameplay, who's here for that? Something interesting I had noticed when I was looking over some of these stats for all of the leagues is the difference in red side and blue side in their objective taking. Across all four of the major regions, red side more often than not was getting first Dragon, whereas blue side was getting first Herald, which I thought was really interesting. And it's not like a 52-48. It's like a 60-40, 70-30 split for every league, as yeah, Echelon's just gone. That's Charm into Pantheon stun. That's how you do it.
Yeah, Sundered Sky crit auto with the empowered Q is crazy. See Instrument knock down the first tower, unsurprisingly, just with obviously the CS lead and just how much he's been bullying this Scion. But the side of Conduit Esports are looking for this second Drake. Chris has vision and patiently waiting for the smite.
It's going to be picked up. The smite still! Chris takes it down with the help of the arrow from Solo Mason. It does look like Bento is going to be the sacrificial land to make it happen, and now Mason potentially in trouble, has to flash away. Hunter Wolf wants to get it done. The E's in the wrong direction, though. Mason's going to make the kill happen in response, and now Chris in the area has that Cyclone. Jan suddenly the one in trouble. Heal burn on the Chaotic and there just to try and get him out, but now Echelon in the area. Chris goes unstoppable. So there potentially the next in trouble. Face Rush just gets Chaotic closer to death. The Shockwave lands, and Echelon will take his revenge on the Ari.
Yeah, that Pantheon R was kind of sus. right down onto the Varus Under Tower. You know, eating backwards definitely doesn't help your case, but oh man, he just got exploded. So we'll take a look at that again.
Wow, what a steal.
Ooh. Was that an early smite from Hunter Wolf Steel? That was a 400 HP
I'm not sure he even smited. You can see on the bottom of the screen, the smite summoner spell was still up, and he just used it there on Mason.
But yeah, and then this dive that just goes too deep. No minions, so you're just taking those shots raw. So the RE Charm not enough to escape from higher echelons Orianna. The wave gets pushed in, resulting in your tower falling. So, a bad day at the office.
It's one of those funny interactions with Phase Rush where the movement speed itself is nice, but you always have to remember it also reduces the effectiveness of slows on you. And Charm, in addition to making you walk towards your target, makes you really slow. So if you ever charm someone like Master Yi or someone who had just procced their Phase Rush, suddenly they're still sprinting at you at Mach 5 as Bento gets the ulti off. They're looking for the pick on the Hunter Wolf, but this Pantheon is very tanky with those Sundered Sky procs, and with Zinthera in with the shield. Doesn't manage to die. Somehow everyone will survive there. Nooner now gets into the fight with that ultimate, but has to immediately back out. Is just chunked to death. Instrument takes that last hit. Doesn't manage to find the stun, but whoa, flashing from Instrument. Wants to find it there, but just doesn't have the damage to hop in. The crunch down. Double kill for Instrument.
Yeah, really gifted that second kill onto Zinthera. Just kind of walking up for funsies, just checking the temperature with Gnar. Obviously gets the flash out from Gnar, but I don't think that's worth giving your life for. The Gnar, you know, just capitalizes on the overstep. And you get some consolation jungle camps, but while on Vision, I don't think he's going to be able to get this red
look
buff away.
for it. We'll get a replay of the fight, but keep your eye on the bottom right of your screen there, as it just looked like a bit of an overzealous engage here.
Yeah, something that's Ionar really just did go wide. You know, I could see the vision, and then, you know, you hop in the driver's seat and doesn't go exactly as you planned it. You can see the Karma stepping up just a bit too far into Gnar range, so gets punished for that.
Take Nooner back to the DMV. He's got to pass that driving exam again.
Or he's a really good driver because he avoided all the pedestrians.
You know what? That's an excellent point. Maybe he's just too good. His instincts just tell him to not get hit, not hit anybody while he's on the road. So you know what? Maybe actually a good thing here from Nooner, but not great for his team as the fight does end up going in favor of Fools 5, as he's also going to be forced to ult away from the wave in the top lane. His Instrument, with that Trinity Force in inventory, is just so strong in the 1v1 fights.
Yeah.
Jed, he's going to be forced to lose that cleanse. Echelon still wants a shockwave. He's going to force the flash out of that dragon as well. And Smolder not at that breakpoint yet, but still obviously the target for Fools 5.
That was a really good flash from Jed, obviously predicting the shockwave. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to use it, but if you don't, you're dying. So you'll take the cooldown and escape with your life. But this bot lane made up of mid laners now. It's just, I feel like this is just gonna be a tower farm fest. There, obviously, you know, you don't have a tower for the Conduit Esports side.
Zinthera. This is the downside of that aggressive gameplay. You can't get caught out like this, as Chris is going to pick up that last hit with that dive in. But Hunter will steal from downtown. Is going to find the snipe and gets at least some revenge. Support for support traded, but Herald in favor of Fools 5 means that this mid lane turret is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and you've got both Otacon and Drag coming up too, so, you know, I feel like the side of Fools 5 is just stronger right now, so you might try to see just a force on the objective off of the Herald, but really depend on picks. The R goes...
Instrument loses the ultimate, but they're still going to look for the all-in on Jed. They know he doesn't have flash or cleanse. They've just got to get on top of him. But Nooner running that bodyguard is still just a little bit too tanky. Now with Hunter Wolf in the back line, forcing in. The Shockwave somehow finds two. Chaotic jumps into it, but they're still going to find Shutdown on one. Chaotic trying to heal with the passive, but Mason is going to stay alive. Nooner's ultimate goes wide. Hunter Wolf with those Sundered Sky Brox will stay alive in the front line as well. Nooner now potentially is just going to fall here through the plethora of auto attacks. Someone will pick him up. It's Instrument on a rampage, and now with an extra bit of movement speed, wants to find Hunter Wolf, but with the movement speed, the red buff bird is going to finish him off in the end. Another double kill for the Gnar.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, once I saw that Gnar, I was kind of like, ooh, this might not be your fight now for the Monarchs, but, you know, able to close it out in the end. I thought Hunter Wolf was going to get more off of that flank, but just didn't have the passive stacked up to really add that extra oomph onto the Orianna. So I feel like if he just gets that insta pop on the Ahri, the fight goes so much different, or so much more different rather. You can see the pings for the Otacon coming out. So Looks like that'll be our next point of contention on the map. The Smolder already rotated up to top. He's gonna try to get these waves in, and hopefully the team comes and joins him if they're looking for it. But as I expected,
mentioning, in case you're like me and haven't played a ton of normal League of Legends games in a bit of time, we no longer have the Ruinous and the Voracious Otacons, as Underwolf is going to be in trouble here. Root lands from Bento, and this should just mean the death of the Pantheon. And Jungler dead means that Otacon is on the way. But speaking of that Otacon, there's just one now. He's called Thornbound Otacon. No more Ruinous for the objective buff. There's no Voracious for the Guardian Angel. It's all just based on those blood petals that you pick up being purified, I believe, into what they're called spirit petals now.
Yeah, so, obviously, during your normal time on the map, you have all of your petals you can collect, but the team that ends up taking down the Otacon claims all of the petals on the map, and I think they're buffed. I don't know exactly how off the top of my head, but each petal is just a bit stronger, I think, and then you get petals on takedowns or on kills. So no more flower picking for
no more designated flower picker.
Exactly. But you will see maybe some jungle shenanigans here. They're bush stacking. They're waiting
to see if anyone will walk up. Dragon's still about 3 minutes out, so not many people are going to be walking through that river currently, but even Chris looking for a potential flank angle here, seeing if anybody comes up to try and farm this mid lane wave. But I think Conduit Esports playing smart for now. They're just saying, hey, we're a little bit behind. We need to play our side lanes. We need to just farm up for now. Our Smolder is on 2 items. He'll be really strong. Eventually, we just got to get him there.
Yeah, and the Scion just hasn't really been able to do the Scion thing, unfortunately. Do see a knock up, but nothing really to be gained here. The Shockwave comes out.
Shockwaving him too. I actually don't know about this. I don't think they can actually kill him. He's got the unending despair. He's not dying. Who is dying, though, is Solo Mason, caught out into the red side jungle. Big kill going over to Jed there, shut down over, and Chris now spotted inside that brush. They're going to be looking for Bento on the other side of the fight, though, as the ultimate goes off, but doesn't manage to find any charms. Chaotic now potentially looking for charm of their own, does manage to find onto higher echelon. Can they get anything else done out of this fight? Chaotic gets another ulti, and Chris, with that Cyclone, is going to start spinning up, cancels out the stun from Pantheon, and the extra Cyclone body left behind means that echelon and Chris will make it out in time.
Yeah, and obviously we have the Gnar pushing out the bot lane, but just a well-executed fight for Conduit. We saw Smolder actually did hit his stack threshold and did get the execute onto the Varus, but little fights like that. Say as Hunter Wolf.
Oh, the Ian Roger
again,
dang. That was the same direction. I wonder if there might actually be a bug related to that. I'd have to look into that, but that's the same exact direction as what happened on the bottom lane dive.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be something where you're kiting and you're just throwing it in the wrong direction. We can see a replay on that fight in the top lane with Seraphine getting obliterated by the Sion and Pantheon, and then the Ahri following up.
Once the Char landed, I thought for sure they were going to die, but an excellent clone placement from Chris means that Cyclone just hits everybody, and no one gets to follow up through that choke.
Yeah, it's a play that, in my mind, should have been worse for the Monarchs, but, Chris really carried the escape there with that clone, so some shenanigans might be underway with the Seraphine and the Wukong on the flank.
Oh, Xanthera. They gotta be on the run. Flash in from Chris. Really wants this kill onto the Karma. Gets that second Q off the Cyclone proc. It just doesn't do enough damage. The shields from Karma just a little too damn strong. And it's Chris who's the one getting caught out. Charm is gonna land onto 2, but they don't have any follow-up. And now Nooner again. Beautiful field goal, but it doesn't matter. Smolder's online. Jed with a double. Jed with a triple kill on the Smolder. The baby dragon. Oh, baby no longer.
Yeah, Chris just going so deep, was so far removed from his team, trying to take down the Karma, which, her shield is a low enough cooldown where he just was getting so very close, but not able to land the finishing blow, as we see the side of Conduit, start up that Baron while Instrument tries to crack this base. Does get down to the inhib, but Nooner there to catch the rest of that wave. We see a replay onto that last fight. Just keep your eye on Chris and see just how far deep he goes compared to the rest of his team.
Yeah, was the call maybe for Solo Mason to look for Chains of Corruption, but just didn't get in range in time? And then by the time he gets there, he has to lose his flash and get out of the fight, which leaves Chris on his lonesome.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a miscommunication thing. They really just needed to be like, hey, I don't want to go all the way into their jungle. It's just something where you're so far in, and walking through a choke point against the comp of Conduit Esports is just gonna spell disaster. I mean, you have Karma, RQ, Scion, Ari. It's just you're kind of setting up for them. Obviously, you had the Seraphine R in response, but it was just not enough. The damage wasn't there. But the Baron,
while we were in that replay,
Conduit,
we did see the Baron get taken down for Conduit, but also the third dragon for Fool's 5 as Cleanse burned from Jed there, potentially worried about any follow-up from the Yonder Fog of War. But if you're Fool's 5, taking that ult for a Cleanse, you'll take that trade pretty much every time. The big deal for Fool's 5 is getting to the soul point so you can get to the Elder Dragon. On its own, the Cloud Dragon I don't think is going to be doing too much for you in a game like this. Like, maybe Instrument will get a little bit more value out of that ultimate. Maybe Chris can find an extra target off of that Cyclone, but other than that, the actual buff itself is not going to be doing too much. But getting to the Elder Dragon and being able to finally get these kills that you've been so close on for more than a few times in a game like this is really going to make the difference.
Yeah, Scion just sending it under
Looking for an engage here. They burn Mom as well. They're really just trying to force his turret down, but in the meantime, topside Instrument still just happily split pushing away. He's been in the side lanes more than he's been in any of these fights, and so far he's making it work. The turret score still in favor of Fool's 5.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I don't know. It's something, obviously, it's, Instrument has the Black Cleaver and the Triforce, so Scion can't really contest him, but just leaving Anar on his lonesome, you can see he's reaping the rewards, push bot all the way in. Now working on top lane, it's going to be something where you're going to have to respond to him eventually, and, sooner rather than later will be your benefit, because he's only getting stronger, just bought a full Wit's End and a Giant's Belt, so he's really just looking to sit in that side lane and, on hit away.
Who's gonna take this guy to the side lane? Who can fight him currently?
No one. I mean, it's gonna be a situation where you need to send the Avengers for, all 5 go in, kill the Gnar, and then hopefully push top in or rotate to something on the map, maybe in mid lane. But Gnar is so far ahead of everyone else in the game right now. He is just, the king right now for your Monarchs. So
not far behind him though. Look at that Smolder inventory. 4 items now completed, 100% crit, has that rapid fire cannon, fully stacked, nearly level 16. This is about as strong as a Smolder is gonna get, and now they're looking for a potential pick on the Instrument, but the Gnar is slippery, so I think he's just going to be able to walk away. Nooner doesn't want to let it happen, manages to find the slow. Can they manage to finally lock down this little rat? RQ slow from in there, the flash bird, they can't take him down. Thankfully, there's no objectives for them to lose, but now potentially Hunter will steal in trouble. Instrument does quite a bit of damage, gets the stun off, gets everything into the Pantheon. Flashes away though, he's going to be able to survive for a little bit longer. Chris now managing to get something done across the map. Nice charm from Bento over the wall, trying to keep the team alive. The redemption as well. And everyone will somehow manage to walk away from this fight alive.
That was insane. The Pantheon caught out, throughout the W for Aura. There was no way he was getting anything onto the Gnar, but just gets everything thrown at him. But that Pantheon E finally in the right direction, blocks the majority of the damage. So escapes on a pixel of health. But yeah, I'm surprised no one died. But for the side of Conduit Esports, you got your first major step into killing the Gnar down. You have his flash, so now you can send your full 5 again to try to put him down for good. Well, for
next time, it
know.
won't be as easy though. So we've got the Soul Dragon coming up in 20 seconds and the Baron up in just about a minute. So yeah, you can send the Avengers again, but if these neutral objectives are up, you're going to have a lot harder of a time, though. They may not have to worry about that as Instrument is here in the fight, and Nooner walking into the fog of war. Yeah, you're tanking on the side, but you got to be careful. Into the backline goes Hunter Wolf with that Grand Starfall. They're looking to just continue the team fight. It's a nice 5-man charm from Bento. Can they manage to win the fight off me? Yes, they can! A double kill for Solar Mason. Instrument goes dominating, and Fools 5 takes commanding control of game number 1.
But still pretty low health bars here, so they have to be careful. This Smolder,
yeah, Chris wants to continue the fight, but Jed, you gotta be scared. All of this Gnar, you gotta be scared. All of this Dragon, Jed walks too far forward, and Echelon bursts him down. Hunter Wolf will be able to walk away. They managed to finally pick up Instrument, give him his second death, but they're gonna lose the Soul Dragon for it.
Yeah, just unfortunate that bush was unwarded. We'll take a look at the replay. Scion eats some CC, but a lot of this fight was just Instrument being able to auto away. No real pain put on him, especially with that 5-man charm into the Gnar push. Yeah, that was a really good execution from the Seraphine and Instrument there. But
the shock wave on top, the air is flying. Whew.
These health bars get so low, but just overstepping onto the unwarded bush.
Not once, but twice in a whole fight does Conduit Esports overstep and lose their life to a brush. And it looked like the potential start for a good turn, but again, I think it was just a bit of that communication where Jed wanted to walk forward, keep trying to contest the dragon, but Wolf was like, hey, I don't have a ton of HP. We picked up 1,000 golden shutdown. That's good. We could just walk away, but mixed signals means that somebody dies, and at that point, it was already done.
Yeah, and we see the final item, the Randuin's out for Instrument, so unless he decides to, you know, get rid of his shoes, he's as strong as he will get. You can just see the gold deficit. 5,000 gold.
Disgusting.
Up on the Scion. I mean, the only person even coming close to him is the Smolder, but we could see the Smolder was... You know, while he does good damage, the Gnar is pretty tanky. Oh my lord!
God!
Yeah,
pretty good damage, pretty decent damage. To land a direct Q. Nooner potentially in trouble up here. Instrument is just autoing away at him. That's half of his health, and he's not even making it. Underworld Steel is gonna play some defense here, but he can't even walk up. His tank is already gone.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can just see that's just your Triforce, Black Cleaver, and then your Wits End on hit.
Charm on the Chris. Root lands. Mikhail's forced out of Bento. Chains are crushed land on the Jed. And there goes the dragon! Disappeared into the ether. He's just gone!
Yeah, that was a prime target for your Chains of Corruption. Hunter Wolf tries to get something.
Char lands onto Chaotic. Instruments is already into the backline, and so is Chris. And Foolish Fives coming into game 1 stronger, saying, hey, we're not worried, we're not stressed. Game 1 of the season, we're going to look for a convincing victory.
Yeah, and, you know, nothing left now. The Scion Zombie going to get taken down, and then your Nexus Towers are next. Nothing to be done. Death timer's too long. And your Fools 5 will be taking game 1.
Yeah, a big confidence win, I feel, from them. We mentioned at the top of the day, Conduit Esports is an organization that people are aware of and know is known for fielding teams that are expected to be top 4, top 2 in whatever tournament they get into. But Fools 5 come into game 1 here and say, hey, we're going to pick what we know, we're going to pick what's right, and just say, hey, we're going to come in and win the game.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Smolder didn't have, more to say as the game progressed. He was really just shut down, and I think a lot of that was just, obviously the Gnar being there for fights. He was just too damn strong, and we saw, in the last couple fights, he was just getting bogged down by the Gnar, and then obviously you have the chains of corruption from Varus, just instant, unavoidable damage if you get hit by it. It's the QW detonating all of the blight stacks on you. It's just you're gone. But I think the unsung hero of that game was Chris. He was making a lot of really good proactive plays with his ult, and his clone was in very good spots. Obviously we saw where he rescued the himself and his Ari. So I'm interested to see how the next game's draft will go. Obviously, all of those champs unavailable.
Yeah, I'm just happy that this game was one of the first in, I think, my entire time of casting where I haven't yelled about a Karma build. So that feels really good. Every Karma that I've cast, I think, in my entire career has always been play for damage, play for the Malignants plus the Realm Spike, the damage support item. And I'm not going to rant about it. It didn't happen in the game. I don't need to rant about it. I'm fine. I think if Xanthera with that aggressive playstyle opted, I think, instead of for the Shurelias, maybe for Mikhails to try and keep your Smolder alive, because a lot of times it was death off of that first, like you mentioned, Chains of Corruption landing, that unavoidable CC. Maybe make it a little bit more avoidable. Give him the cleanse so he can, or the second cleanse, I should say, so he can get out of there even safer. But sometimes your ADC says, no, I don't need Mikhails. I've got cleanse. I'm fine. And then he dies without cleanse up, and he's like, oh, well, damn, GG. Oh, well.
Yeah, I really wanted to see more of Nooner have some effect on the Scion, but he was just so shut down by Instrument. Like, it's just an uncontestable side lane once he's Triforce Black Cleaver. So it was just so impossible for Nooner to get anything done in the side lane. So
yeah, the big deal for me is the Scion got picked into the Gnar. This was a matchup that they knew was coming into it, and they were fully expecting. So I wonder if that spells something for Conduit Esports draft, but we're gonna have to wait for that as we get to the next game's draft. We're gonna cut to a short break, and when we get there, we'll be jumping into the draft for game number 2 between Fools 5 Monarchs and Conduit Esports Misery. See you there. Welcome back, everybody. We're jumping here pretty much straight into the draft for game number 2. And like we mentioned, it is a fearless draft. So on the bottom of your screen, you'll see what I think is the bans of the last time around, but those should be the picks from last time around. We will not be seeing any Varus, no Nars, no Karmas, no Aries, none of that we saw from the last time around.
Yeah, so let's see. Our final picks from last game: Gnar, Wukong, Ori, Varus, Seraphine, Sion, Panth, Ahri, Smolder, Karma. So I think these are bans from last game, so
so far the bans are exactly the same in both of these first 2 games. Sometimes this does happen in the fearless drafts, even though you say, hey, we got rid of 10 champions, we're just still going to get rid of the same 5 on each side. So maybe something will change on this last ban, but we're not going to be 100% sure till we get there. It's going to be the Lucian ban, actually, this time around. We saw the Azir banned away on that red side in game number 1.
Man, I'm upset. I love me a good Lucian. Lucian is such a fun champ to watch, but instead, we'll get some Jinx, I guess. I'll take it. It's fine. But with Jinx, obviously Twitch.
Ooh.
Oh my god. Okay.
Twitch ban in the big 2020 or Twitch pick in the big 2025?
I'll take a minus Lucian for a Twitch. So, and the Azir actually does get picked left unbanned. So
yeah, I'm interested to see what this bottom lane matchup is going to look like, but I have to say my spiel every time I see a Jinx picked. This is now a Jinx draft for Fools 5. All of your picks have to be rotating around this Jinx. This Jinx is now the center of your entire universe. You live and die by this Jinx. She's your hyper carry. If she lives, you win. If she dies, you'll lose. And so far, with the Lulu pick, I'm already liking what I'm seeing. Syndra also great for peeling away things like that Azir and like any sort of frontliner. So far, so good. I like this from Fools 5.
Yeah, like, I mean, Lulu is just one of the best supports in the game for your hyper carry, and Jarvan is interesting. Like, I kind of expected them to pick support just to get like a Milio or something out for your Twitch, but maybe they're just gonna opt for an engage and just try to take out this Jinx and Lulu early. But Jarvan is a pretty active jungler. Obviously with his passive, he's able to deal good damage early. So interested to see how they play around this Twitch, especially with what supports. Obviously there goes the Milio that I had mentioned. So really I'm just curious to see what they end up going with.
Yeah, with no Milio, I actually wonder what this ban is going to be. We're going to see Volibear banned away by Conduit Esports there on the red side. It'll update in just a second. But it's interesting to me that Conduit Esports did opt to take the jungler here and ban away some of the jungles. They're taking advantage of that draft disparity and saying, hey, Foolish 5, you've picked your support, but you don't have jungle, so we're just going to take one of the strongest right now, take away 2 of your options, and Foolish 5 is doing the same thing, but with supports.
Yeah, so I'm still... We have the black bars of suspense, so we'll have to wait and see what ends up getting picked here. The Ornn for
I can tell you that ban on the blue side, that last one is a Sona ban actually, so no Sona Twitch combos will be coming through. And honestly, that ban is a little surprising to me. I think even the people who play Sona do not often pick her in competitive because she is very, no pun intended, but she's very one note.
Yeah, and she just takes super long to hit her stacks and, you know, get that ult effectiveness down. So, but Xin, I feel like Xin is super even into Jarvan. I feel like they kind of complement each other well, where they're not really, you know, one's not super super ahead of the other. They kind of do the same thing, but we'll just have to see what ends up getting picked for supports. I do think support will really dictate how this lane or how this game is played.
As much as they don't need it, I would love an engage support here. Like, yeah, you already have Jarvan and Ornn and Azir, but playing a non-engage versus Jinx Lulu just feels really bad, especially when you have a Twitch, unless you're going to have an enchanter of your own to empower him. So maybe they go for something like a Janna or like a... God, who are even the enchanters who are left? No Sona, no Melio, no Lulu, no Karma. Nami, yeah, you could go Nami. Twitch Nami is not awful, but I'd love to see a hook champion or an engaged support or a Pyke in this particular instance. Now, the Pyke is my main. He's my guy. He's the guy I think I have the highest mastery on currently. He's not my go-to in ranked anymore because meta didn't favor him for a while, and I moved to enchanters like everybody does, but he's still my first love. He's my guy. I want to see Xanthera with that aggressive playstyle that we saw in game 1 on that Karma. If you can do that on Karma, you should be able to do it on Pyke, and I would love to see them just knock this lane out of the park.
Yeah, and the good thing about the Pyke too is if you're ever behind in lane enough, you can just be like, all right, bro, enjoy it.
Peace.
I'm out. You know, you got your new symbiotic souls. You know, hey, I gotta go stack them up. I'm gone. And you're all around the map, you know.
I'm not leaving you just to leave you. I swear, I'm stacking my boots. This is all important movement.
It's like the same excuse as Bard. Like, oh, I gotta go get shrines. Well, I gotta go stack my boots. Like, but with the Pyke too, it really does enable the top side play where we're looking for, you know, the grubs early, just because of how potent Pyke can be, and the Lulu can't really match Pyke at all in terms of the roam. Just, you know, the Pyke catch is just so much more potent than, you know, the Lulu poly and shield. So it'll just, I'm interested to see how Xanthera plays the Pyke if we're looking for just, you know, owning lane, and then, you know, I think it's gonna be a flow chart. Like, you know, if we win lane, we win lane. If we're losing, you know, the Twitch is on his own. But
that's the great thing about Twitch. He can also roam, because they both have invisibility. Pyke's is a little bit more, he lets you know when he's around, but they still both have invisibility and can take advantage of moving around the map. So it's going to be important for Fools 5 to also communicate when these two are not on the map, when they're not seen, when they're out of lane. Because if you allow Twitch Pyke to just roam into mid lane, quick up a pick kill on a Syndra, especially if Pyke gets to cash in with that ultimate, suddenly this lane can go from middling, even kind of a boring farm fest to, oh hey, suddenly Pyke and Twitch are coming back to lane with a completed item, and we still got components.
Yeah, and I think you brought up exactly what I was going to bring up. Like, Twitch and Pyke are besides Twitch and Yuumi, I have to say they're ultimate cheese. Like, two invisible champions. You know, both can be anywhere on the map. You know, as alpha base, you just gotta be like, hey, Twitch and Pyke are everywhere right now. Just be careful. So
they're really, Schrodinger's bottom lane. They're everywhere until we see them.
Exactly. But no, I was in my head saying that they're gonna play Yuumi, and I'm glad they didn't, because that is,
I'm sorry they didn't.
It's so gross. Why is her R invisible when Twitch is invisible?
Why is she invisible when she's on him? But you don't know me yet, but Yuumi is my absolutely 100% least favorite champion in the game, because I play picks like Pyke, like Thresh, like Karma. I like engaging with my lane. I like interacting with my opponents, and Yuumi does not. She likes the opposite, actually.
Yeah. I think, well, you know, looping back to this game, I'm interested in seeing how the Azir is handled. I feel like Azir is a champion that he just has that giant curve, like that skill curve, where I'm just wondering how it'll be used this game. Like, and I'm not really 100% on the matchup into Syndra, but I don't think Azir has a lot of like lane fight potential against the Syndra, just with, you know, the Syndra being able to shove you away and be like, nah, we're not doing that right now. Like, but I feel like this top lane again is going to be a snoozer. Cassante into
it's tanks. I thought we were done with Cassante personally. I'm sad to see him, but you know what? He's still Cassante, even after what, 100, 1,000 nerfs. He's still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the the R. It just needs to go, man. Just get the R out of the game, and he's fine. Like, why does he need to, convert to AD? Why does he need to do anything? But
yeah, but instead of taking Cassante out of the game, we will be taking you guys into game. Once we come back from this break, we'll be jumping onto the Rift for game number 2 between Conduit, Esports, Misery, and Fools 5 Monarch. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping on to the Rift here. It's game number 2. Conduit Esports backs against the wall in their first series here in summer. And Fools 5 looking to make a statement here in game 1 as Conduit Esports already playing a little cheesy. They got some eyes on Bento. Jed is not able to get around that corner perfectly, so just gets a bit of extra damage, and Bento manages to spot out the ward, but nothing else will happen.
Yeah, something we forgot to mention in the draft. Azir is Chaotic's highest mastery champion, so for all intents and purposes, we are seeing the main come out for the mid laner. So I'm gonna take back everything I said. He's gonna perform, hopefully.
Well, see, now that you said that, this is where we introduce you to the lovely thing that is the caster curse.
Yeah,
exactly. You just said this is Chaotic's not only his main, but he's also going to perform well. Now he's gonna have the worst game of his career. You've done this to him. This is all your fault.
Well, I'll take that. I'll take that. But again, another double topside start for both junglers. Little bit of cheese.
Not an easy angle to get a hook on here in the level 1. Does manage to get it onto Mason anyway. One plating proc isn't there. We'll manage to just walk away from it. And level 1 is not Pyke's strongest point. You really want to engage on that level 2, but getting poke at the level 1 does not feel bad, and making sure you have full control over these brushes is very important.
Yeah, it's something where it's like against Lulu and Jinx, you're not really gonna suffer too many consequences if you do hook on the level 1. Like, it's not like you're really punished for it like some lanes. But we see the level 2 and Pike just able to exert his aura, just sitting in the bush. It exerts so much fear onto the enemy bot lane, but
you just have to make sure the enemy bottom lane is happening. Absolutely no fun. You can already see a full wave ahead for Jed here. We'll see it even out a little bit more as the wave starts to hit the turret, but just the pressure exuded by the Pike, just by sitting in this front bush, having that sweeper, not allowing any vision to come through. It just makes life so difficult for the Foolish 5 bottom lane. But the thing is, the Foolish 5 bottom lane has a jungler on this side of the map. Now, so does Conduit Esports, but their jungler is going to be a little bit closer. So Foolish 5 maybe can ask the jungler, like, hey, they're pushed up. Maybe you could come and look for something. You're playing Xin. Come get some free kills, buddy. Look, they're on a platter. They're all for you.
Yeah, so it really is just like that balance of like we saw it last game where the junglers kind of had this awkward dance at the scuttle crab. So and it's just gonna be trying to avoid that and seeing if you can make a play as
good stun instrument. Nooner is going to eat a little bit of damage here. Not in range of dying, not in any danger yet. Still is playing that Ornn, but Cassante in the early game, he's still Cassante, so he's still going to make your life very difficult. We did see some pings on that bottom side Scuttle Crab, so it is actually going to force Chris to go to the other side of the map. So this Fool's 5 bottom lane will not be bailed out by the jungler. In fact, maybe even in threat of a dive here.
Yeah, it just really depends on what the Jarvan feels like. You saw him invest the E in that bush check, but with that ward, that's the anti-dive ward, so nothing gonna come of it. So looks like the Twitch and Pike are just trying to get this wave crashed into the tower.
I can't believe the game with Pike in it is actually slower than the game that we had with Karma in it. I mean, we saw how aggressive Zinthera was being last game. But this is the thing that Lulu does. Like, yeah, you're not going to ever lose lane to Lulu, but if she just plays passive, you're not going to win either. Like, yeah, Twitch gets ahead. He gets a small CS lead, but Jinx will outscale him as we get to the later game. And a Jinx with a Lulu late in the game is way scarier than a Twitch with a Pike in the late game.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're going to have to see, well...
Bento, a nice flash in from Zinthera. The hook through, manages to land onto Solo Mason. That's going to be first blood over to Jed. Mason's going to eat a bit of damage as well. And nice hold on the hook from Zinthera. Just guarantees that first blood.
Yeah, that was extremely well played. And we saw he ended up investing the flash just to confirm the E as well. So just a great play all around from the Conduit bot side as Jarvan looks for something mid, but nothing really comes of it. But what I was gonna say before was that's the benefit of having the Pike and the Twitch rather, is that you can just roam if the Lulu is causing you problems.
Oh, and on vision too. I didn't even see the ward. That's so rough for Bento. Thing of beauty. I just love seeing Pike gameplay. This is always fun. It was a few years ago at this point, but Jonghoon from the LEC, when he picked it up and got that extremely good play where he got the E ulti and then flashed to reposition to stun onto a second target. Ugh, I love it every time.
But the pings for the drag coming out, seems like they're just gonna go ahead and start that up. Obviously, Xin coming off the base, so no contest here, but looks like they're gonna try to get some vision for these grubs coming up shortly. Syndra goes off on a little adventure, hits the Scryer's Bloom. Honestly, this Ornn lane is going a little bit better than I expected. I feel like Cassante can bully the Ornn pretty hard, but
yeah, Nooner's had a couple of good trades back here.
It hasn't been as brutal as possible, but Xin looks like he's coming to rub some salt in the wounds.
He's got ulti and flash, so I don't think Nooner's really in trouble here. A nice unstoppable, but it just puts Instrument on the other side, and Nooner flashes too late. Instrument gets outplayed, but outplays him in response.
Yeah, just holding that R a bit too late, but I mean, was there really even a chance for him to use it? Like, it's such a long wind up, but he's just CC'd for so long. Good attempt with the unstoppable, but gets kidnapped by Cassante,
It's a
flashes, and
lose-lose.
gets hit with the
Polymorph
Bluetooth
from
auto.
Bento. Synthera doesn't have the stun again. Bento is going to sidestep the flag attack, but walking in the wrong direction just means you're going into the waiting arms of Jarvan, and the bottom lane bullying continues for Conduit Esports.
Yeah, and I think this is how you need to play if you're Hunter Wolf. It's just abusing the fact that your Pike it has so much pressure in the lane to try to make these plays, because the further behind your Jinx and your Lulu are, the better off it'll be. And it looks like they're going for a dive here, but
forced?
they will get a plate.
Solo plate for Jed and the TP out of higher echelon. I think that's a dive that you're happy with. Yeah, you didn't get a kill out of it, but you take resources away from the Jinx, especially. She has to share XP on a couple of that minions. You no longer have TP on that Syndra, so the next dive, she doesn't have that defender to come to her side. I think that's a pretty big win for Conduit Esports if they can take advantage of the situation.
Well, especially with Chris having to catch the mid wave. I mean, you see, he's obviously on the map, so Hunter Wolf and Chaotic just are like, all right, well, he's obviously not in grub, so we're gonna go start cutting these down. And there's not really a response here. Like, nothing can be done. These grubs are just gone, and this is all off of the back of higher echelon having to invest that TP bot lane to save the Jinx from the dive. So just overall a really good sequence of events for Conduit, and just being able to capitalize off of what's happened on the map. You didn't really see a stagnant, just like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep pushing mid into the Xin. You saw them be proactive and be like, we can capitalize on these objectives even if we're not killing bot lane. So, but we can see the Zinthera aura inbounds. Bento.
Yeah. Especially now with level 6, they have to be so afraid of an all-in. Bento, still not level 6 yet. Waiting for that wild growth on the Lulu will make life a little bit easier for the Jinx, because you can start taking a little bit more heavier trades. But now, especially with Chris in the area, they could potentially look for some kind of fight. But I think trying to take an aggressive fight versus Twitch Pike is oftentimes so difficult.
Yeah, especially when there's just the wave is crashing. It's this Jinx probably doesn't want to miss any more CS than she already has, and the best case scenario is you get kills. The worst case scenario, you die and miss all the minions. So the Jinx probably just waited and was like, I just want these minions. But honestly, haven't had much to say about the mid lane, which is surprising. I feel like Syndra can be a pretty potent champion, but we'll just have to see how it progresses as she scales. But the Jarvan and the Pike,
they know something's going on. They had that ward in the Tribrush, so they did manage to spot Hunter Wolf walking into the area. They just don't know where he is currently, and with how passive they're playing and the fact that Bento has level 6, it looks like the play is not going to be made. Everyone's just going to call it off, head back to base, pick up your stuff. There's that symbiotic souls you were talking about for Zinthera. They are nerfed from the version we saw previous on this stream. They're not as insanely broken, overpowered as they used to be, but they're still pretty good. As mid lane Echelon looks for the kill on a Chaotic, doesn't have the damage with that unleashed power, but is at the very least going to force the Azir out of the lane.
Yeah, and that will even up the TP usage. Obviously, he's not gonna want to be missing these minions in the next coming wave. So honestly, that's pretty good for Syndra. She will have the TP up before Chaotic, so maybe she'll be able to make another proactive play. We obviously saw the attempt to save the Jinx, so maybe we'll see something similar. But for now, I feel like the R investment for the TP is a pretty good trade, as the second drag is being started up. Whew. And again, seems like it's going to be uncontestable for the side of the Monarchs, as the feat of killing the monster guys gets claimed.
All in. Hook goes off before the polymorph. Jed has that spray and pray open. They're looking for Solar Mason, but just don't have the damage through the flash and the barrier. not in range of that ulti just yet for Xanthera. A little bit more damage necessary.
Still, even if you don't end up getting the kill, getting the flash and the bear is so worth. You're just setting up this Jarvan to come in for the dive. Get caught up by the
Chris
Sin.
out. Junglers are going to be scuffling here a little bit. Hook channel from Xanthera. They're going to get the hook onto Bento, flash it over the wall, and flash away from Bento. Everybody decided that that was a bad idea, and nobody wins that scuffle. Ooh, Flag and Drag gets through the stun from Echelon, but the Mega Blast Cone says, no fights today. We're playing the slow game with Pyke and Twitch today.
That is the goofiest thing in the game. The R, just for poke, aura?
Oh, they want
whatever you want to call it.
They want the kills, and Xanthera is going to get very low here. Executed by the turret. You know what? Good try, Xanthera. We like the aggressive energy. As now Hunter will steal. Has vision. I can't tell if that was meant for poke or missed the Flag and Drag over the wall. Because I think going under turret there was a bad idea.
Definitely. So, well,
maybe not a bad idea. Hunter will steal is just going to dunk down onto Solo Mason. And now Bento, the one in trouble. Lulu under 3rd HP, stuck under turret. They should just be able to gift this one over to Jed, who just needs 2 more auto attacks. Is going to pick it up. Has to flash away from the turret, though. Just stayed on a little bit too long.
Why are you flashing?
That same turret shot was gonna kill.
Well, I'm dying to the Lulu, to be honest. I'm giving my bounty to Lulu. You know, he's got the bounty. Even if it does kill, I'm taking the reset.
He just walked up and dunked. What a hero. He just walked up slowly and down smashed.
The Jarvan, like, he is disgusting with his damage. The R in the crit. Yeah. Maybe I'm a noob, but I'm letting that tower kill me.
I think there's the thought that the wave was there, so Jed could pick up the extra bit of CS, the extra XP, the plate as well. And it's only 100 gold in shutdown, so if that goes over to Jinx, you're not slamming your fist on the keyboard like, the kill went to the worst person possible. Jinx is going to accelerate way past the game now, but I think burning the flash is... If we can see Fools 5 punish it, something that we'll have to come back to for Jed especially. Yeah.
His bounty actually went down. When he based, he had a 200 gold bounty. So now with the new bounty system, the gold must have evened out a bit more. You see it kind of fluctuating, but yeah, it was 200 after he got the Lulu kill. So, you know what? I'll bite my tongue on that. But
we'll have to see if it does get punished this game, because for now, we're seeing a little bit of mid lane action here as Hunter Wolf is just going to help the wave push in. I think they suspect that Chris is in the area, given that Echelon is very obviously trying to bait this and trying to get them to take a fight. No way Syndra's walking up that confidently in a 2v1 without some friends, and Hunter Wolf Steel may have eaten a bit of that bait as Chris now potentially gets an all-in. In the meantime, bottom lane, 2v2 scuffle. Jed now on a killing spree. Xanthera didn't manage to get the reset onto that ultimate, but a kill for your Twitch is a happy Twitch.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just going to be pushing for this tower here. Chris pops up over the wall, so putting a little bit of a stifle in the push for now. But with this next wave, gonna see that tower fall. Kiadak forced to flash, but
stuff in. There goes the unleashed power, and there goes Azir. Now, I'm not here to say that you 100% cursed Chaotic, but I'm looking at an Azir main who's struggling in the Syndra matchup and is now 0-1-0. So I am actually saying that you cursed him.
All I'm saying is I prefaced it by saying I have no clue how the matchup goes, so I absolve myself of any wrongdoing. I'm innocent. But
yeah, let's see exactly what happened here on the bottom lane scuffle.
Yeah. Just a Jinx stepping up too far. The R.
Oh! That's some heads-up play from Xanthera. That's how you can tell it's a good Pyke player, because they're not just holding the ulti only for kills. As we got an engage here in the middle lane, Hunter Echelon, higher Echelon trying to get something back. They're going to donate it over to Jed even. Walks up with the auto, says I'm helping, picks up the last hit, and now potentially Instrument the one in trouble. Does have the unstoppable, but is going to be forced to flash. Some nice hook placement there from Xanthera. Rocket caught by Hunter Wolf, so Xanthera not even in trouble. And this is some excellent Pyke gameplay. My heart is happy. I'm thrilled.
I've been saying it a couple times, but Zinthera really is just exuding aura this game. I mean, that hook was wide on the Cassante, but he still felt he had to flash. I mean, it's just, it all comes down to the aura. Like, you see the pike and you just get scared. The aura comes out. Lulu forced flash, so
to
does
go
the Jinx.
wide, but the damage from Jed is so huge. The Wild Growth still forced out of Vento. Chris potentially looking for some kind of counter engage, but it's so difficult to do in a situation like this. Instrument is just going to be forced to back away. Isn't there? Still wants to go in, dives forward into Instrument. I don't know if that's the target you want. Has to burn that flash to get away. Sometimes aura farming can go wrong, and we just saw how it happens.
Yeah, and we saw the funny interaction when your pike.
Oh, if he got the kill there, I would have been screaming my head off, but Bento just had a little bit too much HP for him, so the ulti fizzles. Now an engage potentially possible. 4 Fools 5 here as Ornn is the target. Instrument in the backline with that all out. Higher Echelon has found Zinthara with that combo. Knocks him down. Jed, though, still available on the backline. Lots of low health bars, but can he finish anyone off? No, he can't! Chris just smacks him out of the sky. Takes him down. Echelon finds Hunter Wolf, and Fools 5 looked like they were in trouble, but now suddenly take control of the fight. Take control of the pit.
Yeah, I mean, that fight just completely turned the game on its head. I mean, we saw this I just want to look at this pike. He expects Cassante to come to him, but it's just like such a goofy interaction. That's why he has to flash, because he's expecting the Cassante to be kissing him, but instead he's not.
Oh,
and
I feel that pain's in there. You want that ulti to kill so badly, but it just doesn't have the damage.
But honestly, the MVP of this fight is Instrument. Getting this engaged and forcing the wall out of Chaotic, it really just sets this fight up. And then Jed just kind of goes in on his own with pretty poor target selection in the middle of the pack, tries to take down the Cassante, but it just a bit of a misposition there. And if you're playing the hyper carry, that's your biggest thing, is you have to be positioned well, and just makes that mistake there, trying to kill the seemingly low HP Cassante, but with picks and, you know, Cassante being Cassante, he's just, just able to.
I think that has been our big criticism of Conduit Esports so far in this series. It seems like they have miscommunicated on a couple of plays here and there. Players wanting to go in versus others wanting to just get out, as Zinthera isn't going to be forced to use that dash over the wall. Looking for Instrument. Holds that hook a little bit too long, though. Now Instrument can get in on top of Jed. Force the flash from the Twitch, but he's over the wall, and he's free fire and still holding onto that spray and pray. Now Hunter Wolf into the back line, and Twitch is going to open up on the bottom lane. There's double kill over to Jed, and he's going to survive the combo as well. Hunter Wolf finds Mason, and Conduit Esports strike back fierce. Chris dashing into the back line, looking for the pickup. The ulti misses from Zinthera, but it's still a triple kill for Jed.
Yeah, and you can see that's exactly what I was saying. Jed was behind his team the entirety of that fight and was just able to live. We'll get a replay of that engage.
They're looking for higher echelon on the bottom of your screen there, but you guys are too low health to be looking for that! Double kill to higher echelon!
But into the replay, I thought Zinthera was going to get caught, but a good E. And then just this Cassante caught out, and then the follow-up. Just take a look at Jed's position. He's on his teammates. He's, you know, sticking close, and is just able to kite. You know, obviously he's low, but you didn't see him get exploded like he did last fight.
Yeah, when the Twitch gets to open up, he can put out a ton of damage, and we saw it on the bottom right of the screen there after the fight was over, but just a little bit too excited there to try and pick up an extra kill in the back half of it, and they forgot Syndra is, in fact, still Syndra.
Yeah, but the side of Conduit Esports did still claim that Rift Herald, so, you know, you get a little inting as a treat, so it's fine. you have the big bugs, so that will hopefully manifest into some towers later on, but for now, it's time for some relaxing top lane gameplay. Yeah.
Mid lane and bottom lane. Whew. Opposite stories, but same thing happening.
Yeah, it's, you know, maybe I did curse him at this point. Maybe I should burn some incense for our boy Chaotic, but
this is just what happens when you're a caster. As soon as you start hyping a player up as they're getting into game, they're gonna have a bad performance. It's just the law of the land. That's why we say things with stats in them. We say like, oh, he's had such a high win rate in solo queue recently, or he's been performing really well in his past matches recently. We never say, oh, he's always good on this champion, or he's always performed well on this pick.
A really late TP coming out.
Yeah, they're looking for the all-in. Zinthera, nice stall from Hunter. He's going to make sure that Otacon will go over to Conduit Esports, and they'll get those spirit petals for themselves.
Yeah, Hunter Wolf had a really good R just trapping that Zin. Literally put him in jail and made him watch as they killed that Otacon. So we saw Instrument invest the TP as well. It was just a bit too late. I don't think he had vision of the Otacon health bar when he TP'd, but you know, a 3.5k Otacon, it's already kind of sketchy. Instrument walking down the river is going to spot out Hunter Wolf, so maybe something
looks
happening.
for a little bit of poke, but doesn't want to extend too far forward. We do have the dragon coming up in just about 20 seconds. It is not, I believe, the mountain dragon that is an overlay bug. It is going to be the Chemtech dragon. We've got the Chemtech map here. So it's classic Riot Games. First two dragons went over to Conduit Esports. Fools 5. I keep wanting to say Flash or Foolish, but they're Fools. Fools 5 have that second dragon, or that first dragon for themselves. Second one is now on the map, and both teams looking ready to try and start a fight.
Yeah, I really do think this fight is just going to be another, like, how does Jed position? If Jed dies, the fight is over. If Jed lives, you're probably winning the fight. And we can see Shelly starting her side quest in the mid lane. Jed.
Sherman, potentially the target is going to eat a little bit of damage. Like you mentioned, Shelly moving towards the mid lane is just going to start pushing that wave in very slowly, but she'll get it done. And the problem is Fools 5 is on the wrong side of the map to go back and deal with this. Conduit Esports has the priority. They could even just move towards mid lane instead, but they're going to look for a pick. Higher Echelon gets that Wild Growth burned onto him. The Ornalty finds two. Chris in the front line, though, just unkillable on the Xin Zhao. Finally goes down, but Chaotic will as well. And the Jinx has now gotten her resets untouched in the fight so far. 2 for 3 in favor of Fools 5, and they're going to take control of the pick.
Yeah, that was just a fight where the Syndra just got so much damage out, and the Jinx, obviously, like you said, untouched, was just able to open up with her minigun and her rockets. So they're gonna try to get this mid lane Jed a bit sketchy, but will end up making it out. And yeah, that was a very low impact fight from Jed. Just not enough clumping. Not able to really get that damage down. Obviously, the Xin was on top of him for a bit, but a really good flash from Higher Echelon, just getting himself out. You can see a big stacked HP bar, and then all the damage will start coming out shortly. Explodes, 1Q explodes Chaotic, so
yeah, the damage is insane from this Fools 5 composition. We mentioned it was a Jinx composition, but Syndra and K'Sante can definitely do their own work, and even after their jungle dies, they're still able to secure this dragon and keep Soul Point away from Conduit Esports, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, obviously the Chemtech Drake is one of those where it's like, you know.
I still think the Soul is incredibly powerful, but I know I'm in the minority when it comes to that.
I think it's one of those souls where it's like you never feel it. Like, you know, you feel an Infernal or a Hextech because it's like, oh,
you see the proc happen.
Yeah. Or, you know, you feel a Cloud Drake because you're zooming after your ult, but you can see the double stealth in action, but I really just wanted to see Zinthera and Jed just fly in invisible and just ruin someone's day, but the setup on the Baron for Conduit is underway. Maybe a little cheeky bush stack, but
just shows himself a little bit too much. Chris now investigating with that Wind Becomes Lightning, and the Baron has started up. They're looking to attack it. Rocket is going to be used to get some vision. It's already down to 7k though. Hunter Wolf now looking for an all-in. Chris and Bento stuck inside the pit. Now it's just Chris as the flash out from Bento. In the meantime, Instrument on the backline causing havoc on the Cassante, but not enough. It'll be traded 1-for-1 top lane for jungler. Synthera not able to get any ultis off, but Mason and Jed trading auto for auto, blow for blow. It's a triple kill for Jed before he dies. Shutdown will go over to Mason, but now it's just Bento left on his lonesome versus the 3 surviving members of Conduit. And I don't think this Lulu is long for this world. Synthera chasing him down will eventually pick it up. An ace over to Conduit.
And that was another fight where it's all on Jed. Like, he did so much damage in this fight. I mean, he has to flash to reposition, but he was able to output so much damage. And I mean, we saw Hunter Wolf put a couple members, mainly Bento and Chris, in the prison, and then the Ornn ult comes out. But just look at the damage that Jed is able to drop. This Cassante's health bar disappears, and then Chris.
Yeah, the AD carries just sort of stand on each other and auto attack.
Yeah.
That was.
But then you're just left with a Syndra who does good damage, but once she's, you know, on top of it, it's so hard to do anything. Like, no shove, and then obviously this Lulu just gets hawked down. And the big Master upgrade on the Infinity Edge, so Twitch only going to get stronger. 3 items on the board for him.
Back in my day, we called it Edge of Finality, and it was really cool, but now all the items can be upgraded, so they don't get cool names anymore. In my mind, it's still Edge of Finality, and Azir still has Baring's gift, but the gift is over to Conduit Esports as Hunter finds a huge 3-man ulti, and Chaotic finds the shovel, but can they finish anybody off? Jed is free firing! Spray and pray him down! A triple kill to the Twitch! Hunter steals the quadra, but Conduit takes the fight!
Do I have to say it again? All Jed. He is the team right now. Hunter Wolf gets a really good EQ and into the R, but then it's just the Ornn ulti and then the Jed free fire to finish everyone off. Instrument tries to get the R and get anything done, but Jed, so much damage. Again, you're just seeing these layering. You have the Jarvan Cage into Ornn Horde, and then the shuffle just to be like, hey, y'all aren't leaving. Like, there's just, it's all of Jed for the damage, but his team is setting him up so well, setting him up for success. And we'll have to see how they handle this next drag fight. Soul Point.
I don't even know if they can take it, honestly. And for Fools 5, you're okay to just give this up. Like, you just lost the Baron buff, so you have to be worried about your waves. And if you lose this fight while they have Baron buffs, the game might just end. As Synthera spell shields off the polymorph thanks to that Edge of Night. And Ultimate In doesn't manage to find the steal, but Chaotic is the one to pick up the pick. And now Hunter Wolf looking for another engage, and Jed has found his targets. They are free firing a double kill over to the Twitch again. Triple kill making as Jed finds another. And Fools 5, you didn't have to take that fight, and you might just lose the game for it.
Yeah, I mean, this bot wave should just go straight to the Nexus turrets. I don't know what the play was there. We can just see Bento walks way far into the red side tri-bush and just gets immediately punished by Jed. And I think later on, this smite is spooky.
200.
It just,
He didn't even get the smite off. The rocket did all the damage.
Smite. But yeah, we can just see Jed. They try to engage on him, but then Jed blasts cones away from the Cassante and is just able to finish off the Jinx, get that bot lane pushed. Hunter Wolf did fall, but bot pushed all the way to inhib. And Chaotic will just slink away and get his base off, but
I have to say, this is what happens when you have a Jinx composition, but your Jinx is not activated. I don't think Fools 5 did a good enough job in the early and mid game, especially, of getting their Jinx online, of feeding her resources. We saw most of the jungle pressure was from Conduit Esports on the bottom side. Most of the mid lane pressure from Conduit Esports was on the bottom side. They were focusing this bottom lane so much, and when you have a Twitch Pike and they can accelerate ahead like this, it doesn't matter how good your Jinx scaling is if the Twitch is already at 4.5 items at 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where Conduit correctly identified what the problem for you this game is going to be. Like, the Jinx is your one main point of contention. So obviously they did a great job at neutralizing her. Like, I mean, we saw Jarvan was living in the bot lane.
Echelon. Oh, Echelon. Deleted off the map. Jed goes legendary.
That was 3 autos, I believe.
Maybe 4. That's what the kids call gross, as potentially Xanthera now in trouble as, yeah, that's the K'Sante ulti interaction. You can dash away, but he's going to pull you right back. And it's a quick pick back for Fools 5.
Yeah, just getting a bit too comfortable trying to hit the inhib, but, you know, does it really matter? As Ornn will walk this wave in, and all tier 3s are down. The Jinx are for poke.
Trying to wave clear. Yeah. It tried to wave clear a little bit. I think it hit the minions like for like 100 damage.
Yeah, most of that damage was just soaked up by Ornn's big ass head, so not too much gained from it. But you know, if there's one point where your Jinx can start to come back, it is with these supers. But you just have to be wary of the fact that you are so far behind.
3 inhibs down.
Yeah, 3 inhibs down. You're really just praying that Conduit make a mistake. I think if they walk single file 1 by 1 gladiator into the base, it's, you know, it's doable, but man, it is looking grim. 17-2 on the Twitch. Full build now.
Yeah.
With that BT. So even if you get on him, he's got the Iker shield, and then he's got, you know, the life stealing, so
they have to permanently CC him. They have to take him from 100 to 0 while he is stunned. But how do you get on top of him when he's just able to sit in that invisibility for so long? As the waves are starting to pour into the base now, Fools 5. And if you don't want this to go to game 3, your last stand has to be now. You have to make something happen. You see Xanthera looking for a pick. He's found the one to Bento. Flash forced out of the Lulu. Hunter Wolf doesn't manage to get a great engage. Xanthera goes in, but doesn't manage to fly to target. But Jed does! And then 3-man ulti again from Hunter Wolf is just going to set up the fish in a barrel. But Solo Mason gets a decent bit of work done. Grabs a couple of kills, and it's just Chaotic and Nooner versus 3 members left as Instrument now into the back line. And Fools 5 stands strong in their base. They're staying alive in game 2.
Yeah, that was a bit silly. We're fighting under towers. It's, you know, I think they were rushing to end, but, you know, maybe it's going to be an open Nexus. The minions
for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, true, but you do have 2 stealth champions. That's all I'm going to say. I'm willing it into existence.
3 inhibs down, 2 stealth champions. The wards in the base better be good.
Yeah, all I'm saying, Jed and Xanthera, they come up to the wall, Jed flashes over. Hey, it's GG's, but obviously not gonna happen. But these super minions are scary. But yeah, it's just gonna be Baron. There's really nothing left. You know, you're gonna get the mountain or the Chemtech soul, and then into a Baron probably. But let's take a look at this fight again.
Hook onto Bento just means that Lulu's already forced out of the fight, and it's another great engage from Hunter Wolf Steel, who's just been finding these repeatedly for Conduit Esports.
Yeah, it was a good fight, but honestly, I feel like this is where it fell apart when we're trying to kill them under tower. There's just a bit too much, and obviously the K'Sante knockback pulls him into the tower, so just a little bit too deep and just trying to end the game, but in all likelihood it won't matter too much as we see Conduit claim both the Chemtech Soul and the Baron. So just
I think I can count the number of games that I've seen a team lose with Baron Soul and up 3 inhibitors on no hands, actually, because I don't think I've ever seen it happen, but it's the first time for everything. As Conduit, again, are going to storm into the base. They're going to take out that bottom lane inhibitor. And again, Fools 5, if you've got a miracle in your back pocket, You're going to have to use it now. Your Nexus is open. A fight has to happen. And Hunter Wolf, a flash engage into the backline. It's another 3-man pit and a shooting gallery for Jed. He's free firing with that spray and pray. Higher Echelon can't even get the ulti off on him. A triple kill over to the Twitch. Quadra stolen again from him. He's not allowed a single penta opportunity, but he will be allowed to play in game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Twitch. Twitch able to open up every single fight. You have no response. There really isn't any champ on the side of Fools 5 that could lock down the Twitch. I mean, your only real option was the Cassante, and even then, he just had so much peel on him. Like, you know, the Pyke was always coming back. The Azir, the Ornn, there was just too much. We can see the last fight of the game here.
Yeah, but looks like a potentially possible base defense instantly just turns into, oh, we're shooting fish in a barrel. This one's done.
Well, that was the story of every fight. I mean, I've been singing Jed's praise, but Hunter Wolf's Jarvan engages have been immaculate this game. Every R I've seen, besides where he's just trying to, you know, blow one person up, has been at least a 3-man, a 2, 3, 4-man every single time, and it's just allowed this Twitch to have that, you know, shooting gallery, as you said. And, you know, obviously we're not going to see any more Twitch, but we've seen what he can do on a hyper carry. So
yeah,
just
now
we'll have to see what comes out next.
Yeah, now moving into game number 3, bunch of champions off the board. It's just gonna be a matter of seeing what do these guys have left in their back pocket, as the first series we get to see here on Titan Esports 2 will go to the full series. We're going to 3 games, and we'll see you guys when we come back for that last game. See you there. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping in here for the draft for what is our final game of the day. On the bottom of your screen, you can see all those fearless picks that we're not going to be seeing again. So now it's just a matter of who's going to take this last game and come out on top.
Yeah, so I just want to preface by saying the chaotic curse is not real. In fact, I think I countered the curse by saying I cursed him. So I'm not saying I won them that game, but, you know, slide me, you know, I'm dropping my PayPal. But, again, same bands, essentially. Shen, Victor, LeBlanc, Gwen. They did
have swapped sides. Conduit Esports now on the blue side, and Fools 5 now on the red. But the bands so far the same from game number 2. As far as I'm seeing, LeBlanc, Gwen, and Lucian. And the Hui, Victor, and Shen. Yeah, all 6 of the bands remaining the same for the entire draft. So no changes there. But hey, that's the great thing about Fearless. We're guaranteed to have changes for the next picks.
And the first change, the Corki. Honestly, Corki is another champion that I find so boring. You just farm, you just poke. Senna, on the other hand.
Speaking of farming.
Yeah, on the other, okay. If it's AD Senna, I'm interested. If it's support Senna, I'm sleep. Like,
I think it's going to be AD Senna because what we've been seeing around the league, as far as I've seen anyway, with the most recent passive change. By the way, since her release, her 13th passive change, just changing the percentages on the minion drops, they buffed the drops on kill again. So farming Senna is back in vogue, which means that we will see AD carry Sennas in the bottom lane again. And it's just a matter of what do they pick down there with her.
Yeah. Well, junglers, Vi, and I'm assuming this is Volley jungle. Galio in the mid lane.
Ooh, Galio.
Oh, Galio's so gross. I love watching Galio. He is like the ideal mid lane. Like, control mages, boring. Galio flying at you and punching you in the face. That's content.
I just love that. I love that his E is literally just called Justice Punch. It feels like he named it himself.
But we do have a bald blue man going in the mid lane. The Rise, honestly, the side of Fools 5, you know, they have picked some scalers. You know, you have Rise and Senna, so just really depends on how they're gonna play this bot lane. I mean, again, we're having the phantoms of the bands, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bands on our screen. It's just taking an extra second for our producer to update it as they add it in by hand. But it is going to be Nami, Rel, Kench so far are that next phase of bands. We're just waiting on the last one here from Conduit Esports. Misery. But so far, it's a lot of support focus for both of the pools. So these support pools, most of the enchanters are now gone with Nami, Karma, Lulu, and Seraphine. You still have your Jannas and your Yumis. I hate to mention, but she does exist and she is there if they want to pick it.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if this is just 100% AD Senna, because I mean obviously it can technically flex, but I'm just interested to see if with all of these support bans they're like, maybe we'll throw a cheeky AD pick in. But
yeah, usually with support Senna though, you want to pair it up with something like a tank in the bottom side.
yeah,
And I think if you do that, their team might just be lacking a little bit too much in damage. We'll have to see what they end up opting for. I see that hover. That's a Taric. We are going to have a Taric here for Fools 5. The Taric Senna bottom lane. That sounds filthy.
yeah. I mean, the Senna Taric, I mean, it has to just be so potent just off of the fact that, you know, you have Senna Q slow, which will basically just guarantee your Taric stun. And I mean, the two champs just complement each other very well. I mean, obviously you have healing on both Senna and Taric, so it's gonna be a lane that's gonna be super hard for the Corki to really poke out of. And I feel like they do have really strong fight potential. It's gonna be the Nico support paired with the Corki. So
it could potentially be Galio support with Nico mid, but I think we've been seeing more Nico support recently, haven't we?
Yeah, I've seen a ton of Nico. It's just like, just her. She's just such a good roamer, and her ult is really potent, and just the poke coming out from the Nico with the Corki makes a ton of sense.
Something we didn't even consider. Galio top with the Mel now running in the mid lane. And if that is a Volibear top, I feel like this is probably a Volibear favored matchup, since while he is mixed damage, he's primarily physical and he does kind of eat tanks for breakfast. But I expect this to be a jungle Volibear. I think you called it out early, and I think you're probably right about it. As we get the last hover here, I'm going to leave you in suspense until it pops up on the broadcast here. And it's going to be the Camille for the top lane versus what's most likely the Galio. Like, it could be Nico if we're going to do Galio support, but I expect it to be Galio top.
Yeah, I mean, Galio just makes the most sense. Like, your tanky champ going top lane seems like what you're going for. So, I mean, there is always the chance that they're like, let's do some cheeky swappage, but I feel like that's a bit too advanced, and you know, it just might not be something teams are really going for with, you know, let's throw Nico top for the Camille matchup, you know. But I'm interested to see Camille. I really like watching Camille, like just the amount of damage she's able to output, and it's crazy. And I feel like she's kind of the odd one out in the comp for Fools 5. Like, you don't really have a lot of champions that can kind of go in with her. Like, you know, you have like Volibear being able to, you know, Q and run at you, but no champ really has the backline access that she does. So it'll be interesting to see how they play around that.
Everyone has backline access if they just jump in the portal.
True. But
I do worry that this Fools 5 composition is a little too scaling focused. You have the Volibear to try and get you that early game in Camille, who's gonna, to put it nicely, run over the Galio in the top lane. But your Senna Taric in the bottom lane is not going to have a lot of pressure. Your Ryze versus Mel especially is not going to have a lot of pressure. She should win early and mid-game trades until Ryze is like, I think 2.5, 3 items. It does really feel like maybe Fools 5 has indexed too much into scaling, and that's kind of what happened last game, where they were really relying on Jinx and Lulu to get to that late game, Syndra to get to that mid and late game where she starts being so strong and one-button deletion. But you look at the early and mid-game power here from Conduit Esports, and they might just take that possibility away from Fools 5.
Yeah, like, I feel like you have a lot of survivability in the bot lane, but also you're into Corki Nico. So it's like, if Nico hits a stun and then, or her root, and then gets her Qs all popping on you, plus, you know, Corki W flying in, EQ, it's just not a good time. So it really just depends on if they're committing to this scaling, how they play it. Like, I feel like last game they were they had a scaling comp, but they were playing like they had, you know, that early mid game comp where they were kind of like overextending themselves. So it really just depends on if they can just be like, all right, we're fully committed to scaling and just taking the necessary concessions to hit those breakpoints. So I'm just interested to see, because obviously, you know, Conduit Esports draft is a lot more of that early mid, like Vi is super strong, you know. Miko is pretty potent, and then obviously, you know, Mel is just annoying. She's like a gnat. But I'm interested also to see how they handle Galio, because obviously he's got very strong roam, but being in the top lane island, it really just depends on how Nooner decides to play it. I would hope to see him try to be pretty active on the map as much as you can be from top lane, but it's obviously something we will have to wait and see. But for now,
yeah,
I'm just interested to see how the scaling goes from from Fools 5. Sorry.
Yeah, this is what happens in the long series. It starts to take a toll on your stamina. But speaking of our stamina, we're gonna take a break to save some of our energy, and we'll jump back in here when we get onto the Rift for our final game of the day. We'll see you on the other side of this break. We are back. Game 3 of this best of 3 series. Winner takes all in this week number 1 matchup between Conduit Esports Misery and Fools 5 Monarch. I almost said Matriarch. Different thing entirely, but we've got scaling composition here again for Fools 5. It didn't do so well for them in game number 2, but they're falling back on it in game number 3, so we'll see if they can pilot it a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I just don't see the vision for this Fools 5 comp. I feel like it's not really anything. I just don't see it. Where their strength is. I mean, obviously, all of your damage is really this Camille in the Senna. The Rise just takes so long to come online, and Senna's just one of those champions that I feel like can be pretty easily dealt with, especially when you're, a Corki and a Nico. So I'm just really concerned for this Fools 5 bot lane, and but I am interested to see how this Galio plays out. We see he has phase rush, so
Bento misses the first stun. Jett is going to start getting some autos back, and it'll lead a little bit of damage. Xanthera does have Scorch, my least favorite rune, I think, in the entire game, but I'm going to let that one slide. I do also like the fact that it's heal barrier here for Mason and Bento. They understand that they're going to be on the losing half of a lot of trades in the early game, so they're just playing entirely for safety. Let Senna get her stacks. If we die once or twice, it's fine. We just need to scale and make sure that Senna stays relevant.
yeah, and I mean that's just the way it has to be. Like you're never gonna contest, and you can just see like
ooh,
Jed just able to
is it enough?
in.
Mason eating a ton of damage, holding the barrier in the flash until the absolute max. Still in a bit of danger here as the damage is relevant from the Conduit Esports bottom lane, but has the Biscuit, has the Taric now with the healing, and will manage to sustain back up, but that's some scary stuff.
Yeah, there is just gonna be so much pressure, and I mean, you can just see how behind they were on the level 1. Like, just the damage output was unmatched, and I mean, that's just gonna be it for the lane. But see this Camille and the Galio scuffling.
Lunar wins that trade pretty heftily, actually. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just so interested to see how the Galio plays out. I know nothing about Galio top lane matchups, but I know that Camille is a tank buster, so
yeah, she's known for her good matchups into tanks, but early game
Yeah.
before she has her Sheen, the tanks can do a little work into her, especially Galio, who's got that good base damage.
yeah, and especially with the D ring just amplifying his damage a bit more. But I mean, this bot lane, you
Ignite?
cannot be having fun.
Yeah, they came into this knowing it was no fun allowed.
They're
we are
looking
seeing,
for
in
the
fact, Solo Mason,
dive.
he's going to be farming on the Senna. Anti-dive ward is there, but Bento is already so low. Yeah, they have all summoners, but that's a Vi. The damage can definitely be there. Hunter Wolf now going to be spotted. Bento's going to start spamming out those heals, but do they have enough? Xanthera looking to line up a stun. Has to lose that flash, though, but it does not matter. Under tower. Bento falls, and its first blood is Xanthera. But it's a return kill. The turn shot lands, and Solo Mason will get something in response. And honestly, huge win for Fools 5.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the flash and the ignite invested, but I mean, Senna still comes away with the kill. Nico getting the kill is, it's a Nico with a kill, but you would much rather your Corki or your Vi have it there, just a tad more impactful. So, but we can see the dive again, the Vi flying
What
in
happened
and
here?
just walks up for an auto.
Oh, greedy. Xanthera, we've been singing your praises on this cast all day, and then you do that? Oh, I'm hurt.
But this Rise going to get a cheeky little ward. Oh, fake wards. Looks like they're just gonna unspawn the Drake. So
They are formatting this dragon. They do not want it to go over. Red side will continue to take first dragon.
but we see Camille getting the dive threatened, but Galio running
There's that TP again. Yeah, with no health, no mana on Galio. Instrument now potentially looking for an all-in, but that TP is very slow. Hunter is going to flash away, but I think maybe could have stayed for a kill. I think the cooldowns might have just been a little bit too long there, but nice little counter dive there for Fool's 5. They're going to lose the TP, but they keep Camille alive and let her collect a very large wave.
Yeah, higher echelon has been really active with these TPs to, you know, stave off these dives. So, I mean, obviously he's going to go TP-less and lose some minions for it, but you know, a wave is better than you know, your Camille falling. So we'll collect these last couple of minions, down about 10 CS, but Camille is 10 CS in the good, so you know, you're evened out here. But this bot lane is going to start getting less and less fun.
He's already started off not fun at all.
Yeah, exactly. It is only downhill from here.
There finds a stun. Jed looking for the all-in. Solar Mason still has the barrier. Still holding onto the flash as well. Just manages to walk it out there. Only losing the barrier. Jed now potentially in trouble. Stun's going to land. Bento does quite a bit of damage. You have to respect the Taric, but Jed does have the barrier as well. Flashes away from the root. Jed flashes forward, but it's into his own death as Mason's going to pick up the kill. And Conduit Esports again gives Senna over a crucial kill in the early game.
And this is how you lose against the Senna. You are just feeding her kills. That was a overzealous flash from Jed. You know, he just did not have the damage, and he took so much from the Taric just standing there and autoing him, expecting to do more, but just could not with the heals coming through. You know, barriers, flashes, but just not able to get it done. And the Senna, 2 kills. You know, we'll collect the rest of that wave as well, but let's see, Hunter will
this might be the comeback. They're going to get the root on the Bento, so they'll get something out of this as Jed picks up the kill, but they don't have any CC for Mason again. And the impressive thing for me is this set is still holding on to Flash. It has not burned it for this whole game. Me, personally, I would have lost it 3 times by now, but Solar Mason has the nerves of steel.
Yeah, very stoic, but Invade coming out potentially. Volibear trying to collect his giant frog, but Vi looking for it as well. The blue buff up, so it might be a contest on that. The channel coming out from the Vi Q, but
this is a risky
kind of in
take.
no man's land.
Chris is going to line up the stun for Bento, and now with higher echelon in the area, that Rise teleporting in, the Dawning Shadow over the top, they should just be able to finish off Hunter Wolf. A big chomp! Take a bite out of crime, says Chris, and he'll knock the kill down. Lines up the stun again, hits onto Jed, but Zendero's the target as he's dunked into the ground. Chris picks up a double. Give him all 3. No, they're going to donate it over. No, he thought about donating it, but says, give me my triple kill. Chris pops off.
Yeah, I mean, just, again, you're so deep, and we know Taric's coming off spawn. It's just another example of we're not paying attention to the timers, and especially with Rise level 6, like, he just is able to get there so quickly, and it's just a disaster. I mean, there's nothing you can do once the Volibear is running at you, especially with our, you know, the root from Zethera does connect, but the Volibear arm makes that space up, and then Jed gets center rooted and then just beat to death by a bear. And unfortunate.
I'm glad we saw that in slow motion. I thought I saw a frame of a laugh from the Volibear there, but it wasn't there. It didn't happen in the slow-mo, so it didn't happen.
But we can see this top lane matchup is also starting to fall out of control from Nooner. Down almost 20 CS, and Camille, as you mentioned, she does have her Sheen, so gonna just start ramping up the damage here.
Now, I'm not studied up on my Volibear builds, but last time I saw him, he was a Roa spamming merchant, but this is a Black Cleaver first item for Chris in this game. I wonder if this is some kind of particular tech for this matchup, or is this the new Volibear standard?
I don't know. For in my solo queue games, every Volibear I see goes Cosmic into
Cosmic Roa Quick Blades. Yeah,
I just see Cosmic Navori Riftmaker. I don't think a lot of people go Roa anymore, but yeah, Cosmic first is pretty standard, but just the bot turret got obliterated there. The Senna with the static Shiv just was not able to contest that. So you know, despite Conduit Esports, you know, kind of trolling a little bit earlier, they're still able to get that first turret pretty quickly. And, you know, a lot of gold goes over to the Corki. He's still up 30 CS, so, you know, the lead is non-existent despite, you know, some positive plays being made. But I'm just interested to see if the Senna can just continue to scale. I mean, Static Shiv, I don't know what crit Senna builds, so we'll just have to see. But Drag does get leashed out, so a fight should be
one from
brewing.
Bento. Xanthera's going to be forced to flash away as an Angry Bear was running at him very violently. Realm Warp used, but nobody took it. As the Dragon again is going to be started up, and I don't think Hunter Wolf has the ability to get into this pit. The Dragon pulled out very nicely. Smite comes through. Second Dragon confirmed, and an Ocean Soul potentially available for Fool's 5. And if they get that, despite all the damage that Conduit Esports has, I don't think they can kill anyone. Senna Taric with Ocean Soul sounds disgusting.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're going to have Volibear healing. You're going to have, you know, Rise is going to have his Roa Seraphs. He's just going to be so tanky. And then, I mean, good luck trying to lock down Camille, so... But yeah, this game, you know, it's close right now, but it can easily start spiraling out of control either way. It really just depends on how this mid game is handled. You know, Rise has his Roa finish. That's going to start stacking up. Senna with the Static Shiv. Obviously, Volibear ahead with this Black Cleaver. So I feel like a lot of the this mid game will rely on this Volibear trying to push this lead he's got. And Camille going in.
Chris is here. Hextech Ultimatum is used. Nooner tanking up a lot of damage, but that turret is deactivated. Flashing to it will bring you no health as the bear brings the lightning and Instrument finds the kill.
But yeah, I mean, this is what needs to be happening. You know, your Volibear is so strong. He needs to be proactive on the map. He needs to be, you know, pushing these leads for his laners. And I mean, we see it come out, you know, the Hextech Ultimatum locks Galio down, so much damage input, and then the R on the tower to turn it off, gets the kill, and just able to walk away. Hunter Wolf a bit too late to be of any assistance, so we're just going to continue to see, hopefully continue to see this Volibear push his lead against the Vi. Camille now with the Triforce. Galio stacking as much armor as he can. The steel caps, 2 cloth armors, but it's Camille. Nothing is ever enough. So
Sheen empowered true damage, and then you also have the Volibear Black Cleaver on top of that. So if he ever gets an auto E, auto Q, auto off with that W reset, you're gonna eat a lot of damage. Your armor's gonna be shredded, and then suddenly Set is hitting you super hard with her crits and her Static Shiv, and life is not gonna get much better for this Galio, I fear.
Yeah, and something I noticed, Taric doesn't have a tier, which I'm not gonna say I know anything about the Taric build, but every Taric I've ever seen is like, alright, bro, I need a tier. So we might just not see the Winter's Approach, which is interesting. I really don't know how much of his power is reliant on that item, but just something of note that he's going tierless, so just has his base mana pool right now, so could come into effect later on when he is spamming them in fights. But again, this Corki is just a menace with this Nico. Like, we saw Bento get snared earlier and then half of his health bar was gone. But someone we haven't heard from this game yet is Chaotic on the Mel. But again, we really didn't hear from him in the early game last game, but then in those team fights he was so effective, and with a champion like Mel, who's, you know, ult can spread throughout the entire team with, you know, a well-placed E and some Q pokes. I'm interested to see how he handles these team fights.
Uh-oh. Xanthera has the Pop Blossom, is going to get some damage down on the Bento and force the heal out, but that is a rampage now for Chris. The bear is online, and he is looking fierce.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is just so accelerated now. And, I mean, Vi's camps are just going to belong to him. I mean, Vi really doesn't have a contest, and it looks like they're going to try for a dive, maybe? They're in position for it.
They have ulti. Nooner might sense that this is coming with Hunter Wolf in the area, but with no wards and with the ability to shut off the tower, this is a dangerous spot to be in. They did see them walk into the tri-brush, so they know they're in the area. Now we're looking for the all-in. A nice two-man taunt from Nooner. Can they get anything done on the back half of it? With that turret shut off, Nooner's gone. Chris is forced to flash out, but he's going to live just fine. Another well-executed dive from Fools 5. And fool on me for doubting their scaling composition. They're playing this early game so aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta hold that, because I said they shouldn't be playing aggressive, but I mean, when your volley bear is just this gigantic, it really doesn't matter. You can't do any wrong. Like, the amount of damage output by this Camille, this volley bear, it's just too much. And just walking away from a tower dive unscathed because of that R. But it's just gonna be so hard as see Hunter Wolf get hawked down.
Drops down. Nooner does get in with an ulti. There's a big pop loss, and this might be a turnaround potential, but Chaotic is going to find that first kill. Bento now in trouble, is going to get rooted up. An overextension from Fools 5 means Conduit Esports find a way back in. They're going to force the flash out of Solo Mason as well. A couple of key ultis burned. They lose Hunter Wolf, but they get 2.
And Chaotic getting that shutdown is pretty good. I feel like this Mela is going to be kind of a problem late game. I mean, she's just got so much damage, and then obviously with her reflect, she's so hard to get on top of. But yeah, Hunter Wolf just gets completely caught out, but the engage afterwards from the Galio is just so strong, and then with the Nico follow-up with the Pop Blossom, it's just it was just so good, and I'm surprised that no one else died. But
I think for the most part, they were lucky that they got to escape, but we have a fight going on the main screen here. Xanthera forced to use that Hextech Rocket Belt to just get away. Higher Echelon trying to chase down some targets here. Has that combo. Flash burn from Xanthera again. Forced to use it defensively, and now Chris wants in after getting that Dragon. Hunter Wolf is the target. Realm Warp into the backline, and Chaotic should be the next to go as well. The 4 members of Conduit Esports are just pincered in, and Fools 5 retains control of this game 3.
As you said, you don't need to pick champs with backline access if you could just take a magic portal. You know, you're trying to escape, and then a bald guy teleports a bunch of people to murder you. So it's just unfortunate. I mean, this drag start is kind of greedy, to be honest. You don't really do it fast enough, and then you get a good root, but just the damage just isn't there yet.
There's no Pop Blossom. That's a really big deal.
The Camille just able to fly in and zone, but the follow-up just really wasn't there. And Chris just asserting dominance, just able to fly in with the R. But yeah, this game has gone the opposite of how I expected it to go. I really was expecting Fools 5 to be struggling a bit more, but obviously not. The Senna 3 kills, Volibear 4, Camille 3. Not a whole lot of work done for the side of Conduit Esports. So
yeah, I worry about their chances coming into this next dragon as well, because in 3 minutes time, Soul is on the map, and that's at 22 minutes into the game. Herald is started up here, but it's entirely on Vision. TP used by Chaotic to get into the fight. It seems like it might just be the dragon giving up. I don't think Fools 5 wants to give this up if they have to, but Conduit Esports are so scared to take this fight. They're looking for a flank onto Bento. They're just trying to take out the flanker, but he's got that Cosmic Radiance. He's able to survive forever. Pop Blossom finds too, but the damage just isn't there. Hextech ultimatum into the backline, and Instrument is a problem that they have to deal with. With that Galio ulti a lot easier to handle, Instrument will be forced on the run, but he's right into the waiting arms of Hunter Wolf that he can just pick up for a kill, and the members of Conduit are scattered to the winds. Chaotic can't even get the ultimate off. Nooner's forced to flash away, and Thera goes down, and it's feeling like this game is all Fools all day.
Yeah, I mean, Bento just mogged the entire roster of Conduit Esports. Just walked straight into their top tri-brush and just scared them all away right back into his arms, and turning invincible, and his team following up on it. I don't know. I feel like they are really greedy with these objectives. I just don't feel like you're strong enough to contest. You don't do enough to finish the Rift Herald quickly, and you don't have the damage for the fight. Like, you know, the instrument, just 4 people all around him in the Hextech ultimatum. Camille just
does not care.
Yeah, obliterates the Vi. Like, there's just no way that you're being able to contest that objective and live. So
Noodles gets some CS before he dies, so you know. Not the worst outcome for the tank Galio, but still not a great spot. We do have the Otacon up now on the bottom side of the map, and that's the spot where Fools 5 really wanted it to be. So all this action on the bottom side ended up working out really well for them, because now both of the objectives that matter the most to them are sitting in this bottom half of the map, and they're able to just play around it for the rest of the time that they're up.
Yeah, Mason does eat a bunch of poke, but with the Senna and the Tarek should just be able to queue back up.
I was about to say, how much does it matter?
Yeah. An enticing back, but obviously Underwolf can't see it, or can he? Charging up that Q.
I think he was looking more for Chris there as he was walking towards the river brush, but Chris smelled something in the air, as Nooner did not, on the other hand, as Instrument and Bento will end up taking him down. And now with this Rift Herald popped on the bottom side of the map, this map is just going to start opening up, as we get a replay of exactly what happened.
Oh, cancel.
A nice cancel from Instrument just means that Nooner is just dead here, yeah.
And this should be your tier 3 into inhib.
They did manage to pick up Solo Mason on live, staying a little bit too much in the mid lane there, but for the Fools 5, I think they're absolutely okay with this, because they're just going to start opening up the base here at 22 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you just draw that attention to the mid lane instead of the bot lane, you know. It's kind of baiting Conduit into taking the consolation prize of the kill onto Mason, but really, you're not getting too much out of it besides the kill. And with Echelon pushing in this top lane, he's not going to be able to get the tower, but should just be able to walk away from Nooner. But
and for me, in my mind, as soon as this Ocean Soul is grabbed, I really don't know how Conduit Esports actually kills anybody on this composition. As Hunterwolf, wrong place at the wrong time, flash in from Instrument to interrupt the Vault Breaker. The stun still lands from Bento, flash away, Vault Breaker away. A nice through from Zinthera is going to save Hunter Wolfsteel's life, and Conduit Esports will manage to walk away with the jungler intact, but the soul is still gone.
And Otacon will be next. I mean, again, all objectives on the map have gone the way of Fools 5, it feels like. So at this point, yeah, this game is just you need a miracle, pretty much. I mean, you're praying someone's computer explodes, you know. It's and the pause function just stops working, and they have to forfeit.
They're forced to forfeit. Unfortunately, look, Riot Games client it's the Riot Games client, but I don't think it's that bad.
But no, I just don't see a way back in right now. I mean, like, look at that rise, level 16 rise.
He's level 16, 20 minutes into the game, and he's just like, yeah, I'm going to take your tower and then half your HP. By the way, only at 2 items, so have fun with that when I hit 3 or 4, if the game even goes that long. He just full bought Void Staff. Oh my god.
He did that much damage with Seraphs and Roa. Like, not a damage item. Champion. Yeah.
Senna is currently at 70 stacks, which is, I'm going to be real, not even that much for 24 minutes into the game, but does Senna matter this game? Look at the top half of the map and tell me Senna is really making the difference.
Senna is just there to throw W's and press Q, I feel like. Senna is nowhere near your main damage source. I mean, it's literally all just this Camille and this Volibear, I feel like. You know, Rise does some good damage, but, you know, he is not your insta-explode.
They're looking for instruments. Cease and desist used, but Instrument's fairly tanky. Hextech ultimate to get away from the Pop Blossom. Style on him, Instrument. Make him feel the hurt. Nooner comes in with that Justice Punch, but just gets knocked to the ground. There's no room for justice here. No heroic entrances. It's just Fool's Monarchy all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, that was their like Hail Mary last gasp, try and get a pick, but didn't work out, and they're just looking for
Instrument
the
wants
towers
more.
here.
He wants blood.
Oh,
Zintheron goes
real
bye.
damage.
They get Instrument, but they're going to lose the game for it. Chaotic gets a nice 4-man route, but how much can you really get done on it? They're bullying him inside the base. Solo Mason takes a little bit too much damage on the surge shots and is forced to walk away, but Higher Echelon is still just keeping Chaotic and Hunter Wolf in the base. The wave is still alive, the turrets are going down, and in dominating fashion, Fools 5 are looking to just take this game number 3. Last-ditch attempt here from Conduit Esports, but the Echelon is still untouched. Mason is still healing up. Bento nearly full health on the front line thanks to that Ocean Soul. And that's just going to be the game. Nooner will be the last to fall as the Nexus will go down. And Fools 5 Monarchy will take their first series here.
And they're waiting. The little bit of BM, like, come on, we want more.
Come out of the base, come out of the base, come on.
But again, I'm so surprised that that game went that way. I was really expecting a slow kind of farm fest from Fools 5, but I'll appreciate some subverted expectations as they play that early mid game super well, and I mean that Volibear just got so fed so early, and from there, like, I mean, he backed like at 8 minutes with a Black Cleaver. So
yeah.
What can you do when a full item Volibear is just running at you over and over and over again, and having so much impact? Like, we saw him have impact bot, we saw him have impact top, and I mean he was just completely shutting Hunter Wolf out of the game. So but yeah, I'm still really surprised that the game went that way.
Yeah, I do think if we run the game back, and maybe Conduit Esports bottom lane doesn't have a lot of those oopsies early on into the game, they don't have a couple of those kills traded back, especially going on to solo Mason, maybe they can have a bottom lane they can play through, maybe they can salvage some of the early game play around a strong point. But as soon as the gold was even between a Sanateric and a Corki Nico lane, it really just felt like the game was kind of over.
Yeah, and I think the point for me, which I was really like, oh, like this game is completely fried, is when Hunter Wolf went to contest the blue buff, Chris's blue buff, and then just like got exploded. It was like, it's like, and that led into like compounding mistakes where it's like it was just like they're trying to do objectives that they don't have the damage for and that they can't follow up on, and it was really just like that one mistake felt like it kind of was just like a tilter, and it trickled into more mistakes that really shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, a rough game, I think, for Conduit Esports, especially after what was such a commanding game number 2. I really felt like they had their way back in the series. They were looking to potentially come through and take their first series win here in the summer, but didn't manage to find it this time around. And congratulations to Fools 5 Monarch for picking up the win here. That is going to be it from us here tonight. I've been What's Your Birdie. That's been Kev, our producer and observer, Shivram and Anti in the back, making sure everything runs as smoothly as possible here on the broadcast. We appreciate you all being here, and we will see you next week for more Titan Esports Vanquisher action. Have a good night.